Hi, Duders, what's up? Okay, so something that I've said for a long time that I don't know if you guys ever believe me. I can't tell what you guys believe anymore. Um, I said multiple times that me and Hassan arrive at conclusions in very different ways. I try not to say one is better than the other. I mean, if we're being honest with ourselves, I obviously think my way is better than others because it's the way that I use, right? Because other people can believe that their ways are better because it's the ones that they use. And we can have an argument about which way is superior. I feel like I would win that argument, obviously, because I use my system. But we obviously we have like pretty fundamental disagreements on how to approach things like making arguments. I guess maybe we have these fundamental different ways that we approach this. Um, I think if based on what I've seen in the debate so far, and based on my history of things, I think I lean towards Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren right now. I think. Desi, you let him get away with so much more than you would anyone else during arguments. Well, not really. When we're actually having an argument, I usually don't let him get away with anything. But obviously, that ends up with him becoming very frustrated. Understandably so, I guess. Um, but the yesterday I talked a little bit about having respect for yourself and how sometimes I worry that, believe it or not, I'm pretty aggressive online. I'm pretty aggressive towards people that I disagree with, but for people that I consider acquaintances, sometimes I let them disrespect me a little bit too much, and I try not to call it out. I know that I can be intimidating. I know that people can get frustrated with me, so I try to give like a lot of leeway to the other person. Like, okay, sure, I can be like really obnoxious. I can be really frustrating. I understand why you might feel the need to say that, but like at some point, I have to take a step back and just be like, okay, well, my interactions with a certain person, we'll say Hassan, my interactions with Hassan, have I really like what are some of like the worst things I've said to Hassan? And when I think about that, equating him to like a Bernie bro, and then now understanding what the worst definition of Bernie bro is, it was pretty bad to say that he had like Bernie bro thinking like thoughts or whatever. I will say I legitimately didn't know that Bernie bro meant misogynistic. I did not know that before. I've called myself a Bernie bro before, and I've seen other people not understand that either. But I mean, I'll concede that like regardless of what I feel, um, that it could land that way. That when I say that Hassan is acting like a Bernie bro, or whatever, that he's like misogynist. Maybe that's like the worst. Maybe that's like the worst interpretation or worst reading you get of that. So I can understand that. But like aside from that, I don't think I usually like. I don't think have ever ad hommed Hassan before. Um, it's possible that I have. I mean, but I don't think I ever have before. I don't think I've ever said like Hassan, obviously because you're so pretty, that makes you a dumb fuck. Or maybe your dog is. I don't even know how I would do. I don't know. It's just not how my mind works these days. I don't usually think of it that way. Um, but when I think about like the counter, I feel like he didn't like the LARPer thing. I mean, I understand not liking the LARPer thing, but in the context of that conversation, I'll stand by it, right? When you say like I'd rather go into the woods than vote for Biden over Trump, I mean, you sound like a LARPer. It's a pretty privileged position to have, and I'll stand by that I'll stand by that comment as well. It's a privileged position. It absolutely is. Um, Maybe when you said he was using the race realist reasoning, I mean, he was. I'll stand by that as well. That when we go through, when you have 20 points supporting an argument, and we keep going point by point by point, and every point
Smile.
is kind of falling over, and then you want to keep going back to the overall argument. It's like, well, hold on, we're not there. We're going point by point, and it's not working. So like, you can't keep retreating to the broader argument while all of your individual points seem to not stand on their own merit, right? That's not good. Um, to keep retreating to that broader picture is something that I usually encounter in conservatives, although maybe because I debate conservatives generally, or I have in the past more than most. Um, Hold on, said my evolves came up. There we go. Yeah, I've never called Hassan morally lucky. I've never said that. That's something that Ram has done. But I mean, but anyway, yeah. But then when I flip it around and I look at kind of like how, like, because I come away from a lot of these conversations feeling bad about my community's treatment of Hassan. But then when I try to like flip it and then I look at it from the other point of view, like over the past well, actually just yesterday, I think Hassan levied almost every single criticism at me that I've ever gotten from like people that I debate that like 4chan has made a graph of me from. Like literally. I mean, like here's one of the most upvoted comments on a recent post from Hassan subreddit about me. A lot of these things Hassan said to me yesterday, and I mean, try like if I were to just read this quote to you and ask you, does this come from, if this comes from like a lefty community or like literally 4chan, you wouldn't be able to tell. Destiny is really revealing why so many people hate him this past couple of weeks. He's slimy. He'll change his stances for whoever he's arguing. He also has a huge tough when he's losing an argument. He starts saying sure, or he starts ad homing his opponent by saying their views sound a lot like X ideology that his opponent doesn't like. Um, I don't know going on with the post-truth memes that we just read, but it's very interesting that like somebody would make that comment about me that I just say sure when I feel like I'm losing an argument. When Hassan literally did that on every point we brought up yesterday. He's like, okay, fine, you win, and then wants to win. It's very interesting that like that is that a person would make that comment after that conversation. That's crazy to me. It almost feels like gaslighting. But I mean, I think I have a good enough recollection of what happened to avoid falling into that trap. Um, he feels that you don't take him serious on any topic and are being dismissive to him. Bernie bro on the one topic he feels knowledgeable on, but I don't know, bro. Sure. And I conceded that. I said that maybe my criticisms of Hassan about him really hating Biden, maybe those were unfair, right? So so real quick, let me preface this with, if you tell me something and I start to research it and I find out that it's a lie, it's very hard for me to believe anything you say. It's why I try to be like, people say that I'm not humble or whatever, that I'm arrogant or whatever. I'm incredibly humble in my online discourse. If you come on and you fucking tell me a bold-faced fucking lie and I don't know enough about it to know that you're wrong, I'll usually just give you the point. That's why I let Kyle Kalinske walk all over me with this absolutely fucking stupid NAFTA arguments. Even though I was pretty sure I was right, he was so confident in the dumb shit he was saying. I let him have it. It's like, okay, sure, I'll go back and I'll research it or whatever. I'll let people do that oftentimes. It's why we had a second debate with Nick Fuentes, right? Rather than screaming at him the entire first, be like, oh, you're wrong, blah, blah. It was like, okay, yeah, I don't understand. I'll go back and I'll look at this. You know, same thing with Ryan Dawson. Like, I'll typically, or same thing with John Lyon. Like, I'll do this with people. And I feel like if you know more than me, okay, sure, I'll be humble. I'll concede it. I'll go back and I'll do more reading. And I'm either going to adopt your position or I'll have better arguments next time. Um, I think I do that really well. Um, so with that in mind, when I've seen some of the arguments that Asana's put forth about Biden, it made me feel really not good because I feel like they didn't really stand up when I looked at them. And then when I brought that up, you know, everybody got triggered. This is Hassan's job. This is what the Young Turks do. How do you dare you say this when Hassan knows everything about policy and you don't know anything? All you do is play video games. You're too lazy to read books and blah blah blah. It's like, okay, fine. I understand that. It's kind of a dick move for me to find a few things where Hassan is wrong about and then think maybe he's wrong about everything. So I won't make that criticism of him again. I'll be more thorough the next time I do it. I'll actually look into like a thing. So that's why when I was on the plane 2 days ago, I was like, okay, well, let's go ahead and watch this whole video on Kamala Harris, and we'll research every single claim. So instead of not taking him seriously and being dismissive, I took it very seriously. It's like, okay, well, let's go do a bunch of reading, figure out what's true or false. And when I came away from that video, I was like, oh, okay, well, holy shit, this is not good. And even like, I've heard this criticism levied at the Young Turks before quite a bit, and I try not to. I don't try to go by like what like the general whatever is because I don't care. I usually like to make these decisions myself. I usually like to like see enough stuff to get like a kind of a good opinion, and then I'll listen to what other people say. But it's usually how I like to approach things. Um, so like I've heard this idea that a lot of the people of the Young Turks are literally like Bernie or bust, which is I can see arguments for that, but then that mentality goes from Bernie, Bernie or bust over to on every other, let us relentlessly shit on every other Democratic candidate, even if like the stuff we're making up is like Hassan thinks you were biased in your research because of you wanting to be correct. I mean, when you call somebody biased because you have no sources, you pulled all of your arguments from a Twitter thread and you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, makes me feel pretty shit, right? Like I'm not trying to like be an asshole, but like that's a huge dick move to do, right? You understand that, right? Like you can say like, oh, well, this is what I do for a living. No, this is what I do for a living, okay? Like putting out videos on YouTube to talk about your favorite Democratic candidates, blah, 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 is a lot different than like, you know, being online and arguing your points in front of people consistently, which is what I do. I'm not saying one is better, one is worse, but like this is to some extent what I do, is researching points to have arguments with people so that I can make sure that I am the most correct on the point, or that's my goal, right? You don't have to do that with a YouTube video. In a YouTube video, nobody's calling you out if you're incorrect. Yeah, they're in the comment section, but nobody fucking responds to YouTube comments. So like to sit there and say like, oh, well, you were biased in your research when I'm responding with articles that I'm linking in, and I think I posted the paste bin yesterday. And to be fair, this was like napkin math research. Okay, I did this in like 45 minutes on a plane, flying from France to Sweden. Um, so I mean, like, so so it feels a little bit shit for somebody that is like, how many times in that video did you call the police the Gestapo? To say that I'm the one being biased in my research. Well, it's like, okay, well, you can't just call me biased. Like, you have to actually like provide a counter argument. It's not enough to say that I'm biased. You have to put forth information that contradicts mine. You know. Um, but anyway, with that thought in mind, I don't know how I feel about this idea that like the young like or there are certain people that literally only want Bernie and they're just going to relentlessly shit on everybody else, whether it's true or false. Um, Man, I'm not gonna lie, yikes. I'm not trying to be like too mean here, but like, here's a video that we got yesterday that somebody linked me. Oh, hold on.
I'm thinking about the response to the fucking Destiny meme where he's like saying, "I like it when you debate people on the right because they suck, but I hate it when you apply the same criticism to the left." Um, I probably should have followed that up by saying, debates are just for purely for entertainment, and yes, you shouldn't do the same kind of shitty argumentative tactics that you apply to the right, which I applaud when you're trying to debate people on the left, which you agree with, because debates are all about rhetoric and not about substance.
That's like to hear that is like very frustrating to me because I am explicitly I don't if you've watched my stream for a year, you heard me say this at least 30 times and I would bet my life on it, okay? I have explicitly stated multiple times I do not argue rhetoric. I do not give a fuck. I do not engage in persuasive speech. I am not a persuasive
Lesson
person.
3.
I don't appeal to narratives when I make my arguments. I never, ever, ever do these things. I don't care. I just go for what I feel the most fact-based arguments are. It's what I do. And this idea that like when I argue with people on the right, I'm intentionally being disingenuous and that I should save that for the right and not for the that's a like you must realize that you've pretty much taken like all of the political work over the past like 3 or 4 years and said that it's like, you know, the equivalent of just like being the Ben Shapiro of the left, just shitting on people on the right using logical fallacies, you know? Um, so I'm not sure if this is a Hassan fanboy or not. To say that he didn't have counters to you is completely disingenuous, though. He legitimately knew more than you regarding the donations argument. You did actually try to confuse him with numbers regarding amounts of small donors. You started the argument basically arguing semantics. So I'm really close to just instantly perm banning people that say arguing semantics. Because I feel like most of the people saying this are either too stupid to have these conversations or arguing in bad faith. It's really frustrating me. If you don't want to get banned in the future, I would highly suggest avoiding those kinds of conversations, okay, or those kinds of comments. Don't say semantics. It makes me feel like what you're really saying is like, fuck, that's you counter my point. I kind of feel like it's just semantics, though. I don't want to have the conversation. Really triggers the fuck out of me. One. Number two, he didn't really have counters for the donation stuff. He was very confused by it. It was very obvious in talking to him that he pulled that from a headline. He didn't understand anything that I was actually talking about. Now, I didn't know anything about the donations, and I admitted that as much in that conversation. I never said in that topic like, you're lying about the Bernie stuff, or well, I actually know that Kamala Harris has more small donations. I didn't know. I legitimately didn't. And apparently people posted some stuff on Reddit yesterday, some of which is still a little confusing just because of the way the numbers work, but it looks like Bernie does have more small donors to him, and that Kamala Harris does have more like larger donors. That does seem to be true. I was just pointing out that like looking at one or two like stats doesn't really tell you much. You can't just say like, oh well, 92% of that guy's donate contributions came from rich donors. But what does that mean? Do you mean like 92% of the people that donated are rich? That most of the money they're holding is from rich people? Like, is that even a good metric by which to view people? You know, if like 1 million people donate $1 to you, and then two people donate $1 million to you, which doesn't work as a contribution limits. But like in that case, like what do these statements actually mean? That's all I was saying. That's all I was pointing. I didn't actually know the answer to that, but Hassan was the one that wanted to pivot into the contribution stuff like super hard. I was just questioning his methodology, but I didn't have like a stake in that fight. I wasn't trying to confuse him. Maybe it sounds that way when I bring up questions. Maybe that sounds like trying to confuse you. But when you say things like that, it makes me feel like you're emotionally loading the fuck out of your language. Like when if I ask you a question on your position, and you're just trying to confuse me. Well, no, I'm just saying you understand what the fuck you're telling me. I don't actually know the answer there. I'm just asking a question. You should be able to answer the question. And if it bothers you when people ask you for clarification on a statement you've given, or it bothers you when people ask you to explain a position, you feel like they're trying to trick you or they're trying to get you, then I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I don't think, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say to you. Does it annoy you when he compares you to Ben Shapiro? I don't really want to answer that question because it's kind of rude, but I don't really care. Let's just say that. Um, do you think having some of these conversations offline would affect anything? Well, I mean, like, not really. And also, it feels kind of dumb to, like, somebody, like, ad homs you, like, pretty viciously, like, multiple times. And it's like, okay, well, I need to go offline and solve this with them. Like, I mean, I kind of already did that. The last time that we had a disagreement like this, it's really funny because there was a really upvoted comment in my thread that was saying something like, oh, imagine Destiny ever apologizing for anything, blah, blah, blah. The last time that we had, like, a big disagreement on this kind of stuff, on June 27th, I sent him a message, unprovoked. I sent him a message and I said, I think I don't really see you talk to your chat at all, so I just assume you never mention it. But I've had a ton of people tell me that you do talk about it. This is in reference to people like going pretty hard on me. And I said, I just don't ever see it, so I made some bad assumptions. That's on me, sorry. And yeah, I definitely see how if I undermine or how I undermine and delegitimize a lot of what you say. I'll do a better job in the future addressing your points more honestly without letting the chat rile me up too much. So I sent that message to him like completely unprovoked. So I feel like I made a pretty good faith effort to like reach out and like hey, like I understand how I delegitimize you, and I'll do a better job looking at all your arguments next time, and I'll try not to undermine you so much, whatever, right? But Destiny, didn't you say something was wrong about donation numbers when you said Bernie had more max donators than Harris? Oh, because somebody in chat was linking the FEC shit, saying that that seemed to be true. And then I was just quoting that person. I mean, I'm not sure if it was true or not, but Hazan didn't seem to know either, and he was the one making the claims. But at the end of the day, but like again, like look, like that conversation was more or less like me asking questions, but like look how Hassan actually like switches his position when new facts are presented. This is the reason why, and maybe I don't like pointing this stuff out because I feel like it sounds like I'm playing gotchas in the middle of a debate, and I'm not trying to play gotchas. But did you notice how Hassan actually switched his position on that when I stated that fact, which maybe somebody in chat was lying, but like um, before his position was that Kamala Harris was corrupt because she had more big time donators and because her track record didn't prove anything, even though the track record stuff we brought up so far didn't fall apart. But when I brought up, well, hold on, Bernie has like 8,000 people that maxed out his financial contributions, he switched immediately and he said, well, hold on, that's because Bernie has like a lot of crazy supporters. It's like, wait, hold on, what? Did you just totally change your position on this? Uh, wait, hold on. Well, so does that not matter then? Like that, I don't know. That
I find it really hard to believe you'd let Hassan get away with as much as he does if he was a right love talking to about you.
But you found a fact in the chat without knowing if it was true. It was a gotcha. I mean, the guy that posted it, I think it was the Rage Poke guy. I mean, I've seen him post a lot of stuff before. He seems pretty smart. I usually trust him when he posts stuff. I'll usually take it. But like, if it's wrong, Hassan should know. Do you understand? Like, it's his argument. I don't know. I don't understand what you mean by trying to play gotchas. Like, if somebody says something that's incorrect and I call it out, I don't know if you consider that like a gotcha or not. But Destiny, I thought he was memeing when he said that Bernie has a lot of crazies donating fuck tons. Okay, yeah, but now do you see how we're starting to play like the crypto fascist game? I don't mean to make that sound so accusatory, but like now Hassan has been like tweeting dumb shit at me. He was agreeing with some of my absurd hypotheticals in chat, or when we were talking, and now people are like, oh, well, he was just memeing what he said. Well, he was just joking what he said. I was like, well, hold on. When Hassan said something like the police should do nothing and let kids die, and he says he's just joking. I mean, is it a joke? With all the rhetoric in his tanky community, is it like all cops are bastards and all cops are evil, blah, blah, blah? Like, I don't know if that feels like a joke at that point. I mean, like, it feels like the alt-right tactic of like, oh, well, this is just a joke. It's just like, well, is it? I don't know. It's pretty hard for me to tell at this point. Like, I feel like you can't hide behind memes for everything. Like, I criticize the fuck out of the right for doing that. Like, why would I let somebody slip that through in a debate with me? Like, we should fire a giant missile directly to sign a bullet man up. This is proper retribution. Nice. Nice, Delvin Keds. Good contribution. I think the discussion got off to a bad start. Hassan was on the defensive, and things got a little bit more combative. I think it could have gone differently if the discussion was set up differently. I almost want to commission a video from you and challenge you on that point. I disagree hardcore though. But I'm my own observer. I could be biased to my own facts, but I hardcore disagree. I was in a room where I had to be very quiet. I feel like I started the conversation off very polite. I feel like he was interrupting me, cutting me off, and talking over me far more than I talked over him. And I don't feel like I started in on being rude or ad hom anywhere near as much as he did. And I think if I was doing it, it was like 2 hours after he'd started it. So I actually hardcore disagree. I totally disagree. I think that I had like the kid gloves on as much as possible for that conversation. I think I was being very, very, very gentle. I think I was being very gentle with him in that conversation. I would be shocked if somebody released a compilation where I was the one cutting him off and interrupting him more than anybody else. Destiny, you started off the conversation with, I disagree with everything in this video. Is that your idea of being like ultra confrontational? Is saying I disagree with everything in this video? I guess if that's you guys would, if you genuinely believe that that's like highly confrontational, then you would laugh if somebody on the right started a conversation off with me that way. Do you understand? If I had a conversation with like the Sinatra guy or John Tron or somebody, and I was like, hey, like I disagree with almost everything in this video, and the guy's like, wow, you're being so attacky. Like you guys would all be laughing, be like, how is that attacky? Because you're saying you disagree with your points. But I guess since it's somebody you agree with, maybe you feel like it's a little bit more confrontational. But I think I practiced an extreme level of patience during that debate. I almost want to commission. I'll pay like maybe $500 to somebody to make like a full analysis of like who talked the most, who interrupted who cut off. Like I'm actually super curious, and I really am curious because I think it would be good for a lot of you guys. Where like if you felt like I was the one interrupting most of the time, you felt like I was the one that was being like more aggressive most of the time, or I was making most of the rude comments. But maybe it could be a good time for like self-reflection. Where it's like, well, hold on, fuck. Maybe I actually do give a lot of leeway to people that I agree with, and I'm not actually noticing like kind of these problematic behaviors, unless it's somebody that I disagree with, you know. But maybe a conversation with Hassan would be more productive if you and Hassan could calm down a bit. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna let. I'm sorry. Well, you can think that, but I'm not gonna let people both sides this one. I think that I approached that debate in an incredibly calm and patient manner. I think that I was super understanding, and if this was somebody on the right, I think you guys would have expected me to go off a million times more. I really disagree with that characterization of that conversation. I think that I was incredibly calm and patient in that conversation. I don't know. Is it my turn if I get Destiny? Have you seen this?
Children to go to school in a system where this fucking problem, the main problem, is underfunding, which you know and you agree with.
Yep. But we both agree that Kamala Harris can't do anything about that.
Yes, and shouldn't. No, not
So
anything.
let's say
should not
sure.
do something
Sure.
about the other element as well.
Sure. So let's say that
For example, opiate addiction is a problem, right? Opiate addiction is a gigantic problem in this country. It's an epidemic. Should Kamala Harris lock up fucking people for opiate addiction if the ultimate result is that these people in jail will get proper treatment and in the form of like, I don't know, they'll still have their freedoms removed, but ultimately they're still getting treated in jail. They're being put in solitary confinement, but hey, they don't have heroin in their system anymore. That's a win for me. I'm Stephen Bonnell. I think that that's a good situation. Let's not deal with it from a form of like leniency in regards to the DA, and then focusing on rehabilitative programs, which a lot of progressive DAs do all around the fucking country.
If what you just said,
give like Narcan to police officers, let's just jail them, because ultimately, if less people are doing heroin on the street, that's good for me. If homelessness, let's not fucking focus on like building sustainable public housing for homeless people. Let's just fucking throw them in jail, because ultimately there will be a shelter over their fucking heads. Won that argument too. Destiny, you were killing it with this DA analogy, dude. I mean, the ends justify the means, Destiny. Why aren't we doing that?
Because in every example you gave, the end is bad. In my example, the end is good. I don't know how you can't understand the difference between that.
What do you mean? The end is the same. It's still, the end is the same. Let children to go to school in a...
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he said it's because he doesn't wear headphones, but whatever. Okay, well, I'm gonna play one more quick game, and then I'm gonna let go of this topic, even though I really should go hard on this, but I don't know, I just don't like the drama. So, somebody in chat brought up after the Kamala Harris thing. Somebody in chat last night brought up, hey, you should look into how he treats Pete too, because it seems like he's really unfair. And I'm like, okay, so are you saying that like every single like person that's not Bernie Sanders, is that who these people go hard on? And so I looked up like I think I looked up Hassan, Piker, and then Pete, and I just got the first video that comes up, and this is what we wound up with. I'm gonna be honest with you. I watched this up to 3 minutes, and I had to stop because, well, I shouldn't say anything. We'll just watch.
How many languages do you speak?
It depends what you mean by speak. So I've gotten pretty rusty in my Arabic and my Dari, which picked up Dari on my way to Afghanistan. I can still kind of read a newspaper in Norwegian, but only slowly.
Finally, an intellectual who's capable of forming coherent thoughts, who will debate everyone into the ground. The living, breathing embodiment of an I am very smart post. Yes, today I'm talking about the candidate who captivates my college-educated white liberal friends, Pete Buttigieg. Pete Buttigieg? Booty check? Booty Judge? Okay, it's really hard to say this dude's last name. Now, Buttigieg has been the talk of the town, especially in DC media circles, as the wizard mayor from South Bend who can speak 7 languages, who fought in Afghanistan and is really super smart. I mean, have I mentioned he can speak like 7 languages?
Bonjour, je suis Pete Buttigieg de South Bend, Indiana.
But it's rather shocking to me that even in a post-Trump era, liberals would still rather live in an Aaron Sorkin TV show than face the cold hard reality that politics isn't about who's the rightest, brightest, or bestest. It's about distribution of power and wielding as much of it as you can by any means necessary. And you know what's definitely not necessary for that goal? Being a brain genius.
We appreciate it very much, Tim Apple.
So I kind of understand, before we get too far into this, I kind of understand the argument of being really charitable, like the idea that like just being smart isn't enough to win, debates or to win, political elections. But man, this comes off as like ultra like anti-academic, anti-intellectual. Like it feels real bad to listen to this. But I mean, okay.
This diaper baby was able to successfully spear-dick gigantic tax cuts for corporations and the wealthy while systematically dismantling federal institutions from within, all while enforcing white nativist immigration policies to silence the plebs. Trump didn't achieve any of this through wit and rigorous debate, and he certainly didn't do it through compromise. He did it because he was able to push well-defined goals and had a party that read the writing on the wall, which was racism, and immediately gave him the necessary structural support to continue pushing the Republican agenda. So yes, while I love that Pete is very smart, being smart isn't going to help the Democrats win. And even if it did, would you rather have someone who's smart or someone who will have your best interests at heart?
That's such a weird dichotomy to draw. So a smart person can't have your best interests at heart. That's such a strange way to frame that. Unless like what we're really saying is like, would you rather have somebody who's smart or Bernie Sanders? I don't know. That's a really strange way to frame that.
A common theme I've noticed amongst booty heads, Pete's fans, is their inability to identify a single.
I'm a little upset too that he'll engage in that. Like when I say Bernie bros, I'm pretty sure Hassan got pretty upset. Or is it just his community? But now we have booty heads.
Amongst booty heads, Pete's fans, is their inability to identify a single policy position he has. And that's probably because Pete won't talk about them. He's anti-policy, which isn't necessarily a bad thing as long as you're addressing what the people need, or at the very least giving voice to the anxieties that they feel. Pete just kind of brushes past all of that with vague generalizations, aside from the few notable exceptions, and then immediately hits the centrist return to normalcy attitude you see from people like Beto O'Rourke, who think the country is more interested in patching things up with the other side than having a truly representative governing body that brings us healthcare and free college, which Mr. Harvard's Rhodes Scholar has called elitist.
So this is actually when I saw this quote, I actually I tried to research this and then I turned off the video. This is actually so insanely disingenuous. I actually can't believe it. So I'm inviting all of chat right now. To be fair, I looked this up before we went to bed last night. I spent a total of like 5 minutes Googling around to try to find this. But like this is literal, like this is 100% bullshit propaganda. So his statement right here that
Mr. Harvard's Rhodes Scholar has body that brings us healthcare and free college, which Mr. Harvard's Rhodes Scholar has called elitist. Oh, also.
So what is this idea that he doesn't want to fund free college or whatever? So the quote that he has on the screen is, Americans who have a college degree earn more than Americans who don't, he said. As a progressive, I have a hard time getting my head around the idea of a majority who earn less because they didn't go to college, subsidizing a minority who earn more because they did. That's a very fair argument, and it's one that I brought up as well when I criticized the idea of making college free. College probably shouldn't be free, because why would you want to subsidize the education of millionaires? It should probably be scaled to income. So whether this means free college for low-income people in the form of Pell Grants or tuition assistance, two things that Pete supports expanding, which is good, or whether that comes in some form of free college for just targeted at low-income people, that's probably a good thing. We probably don't want to to fully make college free, because if you're from a family that's making millions of dollars, you probably don't need it subsidized. You know, I don't know. This is like so disingenuous to me with this first quote that didn't even want to continue the video, because I felt like it was just going to be like a whole video of this shit again. So somebody just linked, somebody in chat just linked what was supposedly the first result, literally the first thing. And and this is the same link that I read. So I don't know if you just found this and you linked it real quick to own me without reading it, but I'll read the link for you that you linked me. Buttigieg, a Harvard University graduate and the son of two University of Notre Dame professors, said in an appearance at Northeastern University Wednesday that he believed in making college dramatically more affordable by expanding Pell Grants and incentivizing states to spend more on higher education. But he stopped short of supporting a universal program to address college affordability. And then he goes on to say, Americans who have a college degree earn more than Americans who don't, he said. As a progressive, I have a hard time getting my idea around the idea of a majority who earn less because they didn't go to college, subsidizing a minority who earn more because they did. That's a fair point, and that's a far cry from he thinks that most people shouldn't go to college. That is a horrible characterization of his point. It is actually so incredibly dishonest. I actually couldn't believe it. I thought my goal was that I thought when I was going to read it that he was basically going to say like, oh, well, students should be able to pay back their debt, or, you know, we shouldn't subsidize college because the markets won't support it. I thought that was what I was going to find. But his position, Pete's position on that is pretty reasonable. The idea that we're going to make all college education free and then we're going to tax maybe like a carpenter or an electrician that's making $70,000 or $80,000 a year to pay for the education of somebody going to college who's going to go on to out-earn him, that's a pretty fair statement. It feels pretty regressive. Now, you could disagree with that, sure, and you could argue that, well, maybe this will give more people who are carpenters or who would have become carpenters the ability to go to college. That's a fair counter argument. But still, his position here is a far cry from we shouldn't fund higher education because it's elitist. That's a horrible mischaracterization of what he said. Could you replay what Hassan said about this? Sure, it's like a little quip here, but...
Governing body that brings us healthcare and free college, which Mr. Harvard's Rhodes Scholar has called elitist. Oh, also...
Why can't rich people get free higher education? We don't have to subsidize things for rich people because they can afford it. Do you understand? Like, the money should go to where it needs to go. We don't have infinite money. If I want to send my kid to private school next year, not next year, but if I want to send my kid to Creighton Prep, which is a high school that I went to, I'll have to pay about $15,000 a year, okay, to send him to private high school. There are other people that are going to be sending their children to private high school. These people might make, you know, maybe 50, 60, 70,000 a year. If there's tuition assistance, it should go to those people, right? I made $300,000 last year. I don't need taxpayer money so that I can send my kid to school. Why would you subsidize? So what? So I can spend my money on what, like another car? Or so I can go fly around the world more? Like, why would you give me taxpayer money for me to send my kid to school? I can afford it. I don't need your subsidies for that. And I think that is an incredibly fair argument against the idea of universally subsidizing education, right? The onus should be on me to pay for my child's education. I don't need the state to do it. I make enough money to do it on my own, you know? Does anyone's plan even go as far as to subsidize the rich for college, or is there just a thing he said that you're completely taking on its merits without checking, like the Harris School attendance? It's just, ooh, fuck. I think Sid one is super triggered by the Kamala shit. I'll let you chill out, buddy. The argument for universal is a political one, not a policy one. Maybe? Destiny talking from the perspective of a well-off person. I don't know what you mean. Destiny, the taxation disproportionately affects people of higher income. I don't care if the taxation disproportionately affects higher income people. It shouldn't affect lower income people at all. If you're making $70,000 a year, none of your tax money ever should be going towards paying for the education of somebody that makes $1 million a year. Do you understand that? It's not like it's not a progressive thing where it's like, oh, well, if you're only making 50 or 60K a year, a much smaller percentage of your money is going to, no, it should be no money. Somebody that's making 50 or 60,000 a year shouldn't have any of their tax money be going to subsidize the education of somebody who's coming from a multi-million-dollar family? Just shouldn't at all. It doesn't matter. And again, people in chat are saying the rich would still overwhelmingly pay for private college. It doesn't matter if it's overwhelming. It just shouldn't be set up that way. If you come from a wealthy family, then you probably shouldn't get a subsidy on your education. I don't think that's a controversial position. Yeah, I don't know. Bernie's tax for free college does not affect middle-class people at all. It only taxes high-stakes Wall Street speculation. Even if it does, I can't tell if it's Bernie fanboys in my own chat. I don't understand what's so controversial about me saying if you're a billionaire, you should be able to pay for your kid's college. I'm sorry, is that actually... Hold on, maybe we need a poll. I don't understand where chat stands at. Hold on. I'm super curious. Should we subsidize the education of children of millionaires? Yes. No. Make the rich pay for it through taxes on Wall Street. It wouldn't be us paying for it. They still would be. I mean, okay, even if I grant you that, that probably wouldn't be a position then that Pete would necessarily disagree with. But even if it was a position he would disagree with, do you still understand that how he frames his position on this is a far cry from he doesn't want people to go to college because he thinks that would be elitist? Do you understand that? Like, we can sit here and argue, okay, hold on, oh my God. Okay, I'm not attacking Bernie's position at all. If Bernie plans to pay for universal college or whatever with a speculation and Wall Street tax, I don't even know if that would fucking work. But let's say that he does that, I'm probably okay with that. Sure. Fuck, I just realized that I just ended up arguing against a fucking straw man because you guys are so fucking stupid. Okay, if Bernie wants to pay for college education that way with a speculative tax that would only impact the richest people, then that's probably fine. I don't think I have a problem with that. I'm not arguing against that, right? But Pete's not saying that college is only for elite people, which is my principal argument, right?
Country is more interested in patching things up with the other side. Governing body that brings us healthcare and free college, which Mr. Harvard's Rhodes Scholar has called elitist.
Does that make sense? So even if Bernie's plan is good, which it sounds fine, right? Okay, yeah, all right, sorry. I'm not arguing against Bernie. Whenever I point out that people are unfairly attacking other politicians, somehow people always interpret this as an argument against Bernie, which is very strange to me. And I just found myself arguing against something I don't even disagree with because you guys fuck my head so much with that weird fucking shit. Anyway, yeah.
Just look at his issues page, extremely progressive. This whole fiasco is just Bernie or bust.
Maybe, yeah. I haven't actually looked into Pete's page. I just looked up that one thing to see if Pete actually did oppose expanding funding for colleges or anything, and I couldn't find anything on it other than that one quote where he pretty much says he doesn't feel like funding free college using middle class taxpayer dollars is a good thing, which is not a horrible statement. There are better ways to do it, but that's a far cry from being an elitist who thinks people shouldn't get college education. That's absolutely fucking insane to me.
Obviously, her militant attitude is something that I don't agree with, but her pro-military attitude is something that I take issue with. But she is going to be ineffective.
Make fun. Oh God, I just clicked another shit. Hold on, what was this?
Obviously, no other choice but to vote for that. Awesome policies that everyone simply has no other choice but to vote for. That is not the pragmatic solution. That is the idealistic naivete of liberals who think that we need to work within the system to actually enact change. There will be no significant change in this country that will restore dignity to the American labor force without direct action at every fucking step of the goddamn way.
For low-income families, we must make public college truly debt-free. Direct quote from Pete's site. Sure. Yeah, I don't know. That's as soon as I saw that, I was like, I don't know what the rest of this video is. Maybe there are better attacks on Pete in this video, but that first quote was so horrendously disingenuous. It's no fucking way. What's the next one? Oh God, it was something about a book.
Oh, also, in his I Want to Be President book, Pete also called labor activist student groups at Harvard SJWs, which is... Oh, also, in his I Want to Be President book...
Shortest way home. How are you going to criticize somebody for writing a book when the majority of Bernie's money has been made by a book that he wrote running for president? Now, I guess that seems like a pretty bad hill to stand on. Bernie's taxes are public. Bernie has made most of his money by writing a book about his running for president. I don't know. I don't, the idea of criticizing somebody for, he's just mocking the book meme. He didn't criticize him for writing a book. Well, that's what it sounds like he's saying. I'm sorry, hold on. Apparently he wrote a book called The Shortest Way Home. Also in his book, I Want to Be President. I don't know. It seems like a really cheap.
Has called elitist. Oh, also in his I Want to Be President book,
I don't know. That sounds pretty cheap to me.
Pete also called labor activist student groups at Harvard SJWs.
I wonder what this quote even is about.
Yee.
Striding past the protesters and the politicians addressing them, on my way to a pizza and politics session with a journalist like Matt Bay or a governor like Howard Dean, I did not guess that the students poised to have the greatest near-term impact were not the social justice warriors at the protests, but a few mostly apolitical geeks who were quietly at work at Kirkland House, like Zuckerberg. I did not guess that the students poised to have the greatest near-term impact. Jesus Christ, this writing is horrible. I did not guess that the students poised to have the greatest near-term impact were not the social justice warriors at the protests, but a few mostly apolitical geeks who were quietly working at Kirkland House. Wait, Hassan wouldn't even disagree with this. Zuckerberg probably has had massive impacts in the election. These people control huge social media platforms that are largely determining people's political opinions and like feeding them into these own like circle jerks. Is Pete even using social justice warrior in an SJW insulting sense here? I haven't read the book, so I don't know. What the fuck?
Activist student groups at Harvard SJWs, which is alarming to say the least. Pete's also downplayed U.S. atrocities in Vietnam and Iraq.
Buttergate quotes Graham Greene, innocence is like a dumb leper that has lost his spell, wandering the world meaning no harm.
By invoking the age-old, we didn't know any better defense. I mean, we did know better.
I don't know about that. But I'm too lazy.
We don't care, and I guess neither do you. So yeah, Pete's smart and doesn't really talk about policy, which is probably why a lot of intelligent friends of mine keep saying things like, oh man, he'd just shred Trump in a debate though. No, he wouldn't. In the midst of a heated debate on climate change, as soon as Butt Judge's beautifully crafted monologue ended, Trump would just call him a nerd, instantly owning him into oblivion in the eyes of the American people. I mean, Hillary Clinton was smart and look what happened to her. By the way, the same could be said about Bernie in regards to being a socialist while also participating in society. But the difference between Bernie and Pete is that Burn Dog is at least speaking for the people, while Pete is often speaking at the people. Now there's a lot more to say on this, and I'm gonna be doing a deeper investigation on my Twitch at twitch.tv/Hasanabi after 5 p.m. Pacific. We're gonna be talking about Pete's time as mayor, gentrification in South Bend, and how he oversaw the resignation of his black police chief, so you should check that out if you're interested. But this is my first take on Mayor Pete, and why I don't find him to be all that great. I'm Hassan Piker. Please tell me how wrong I am in the comments, and share this video with your friends, and if you'd like to help TYT.
Yeah, I don't know, man. You should go deep into that whole black police chief situation. It's not what it seems. I've heard that, and I've only done a little bit of reading, but like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, like this, I don't want to believe what you guys say because I don't even know how I could believe it anymore, but that seems to be what I found. So apparently, I don't know what his non-specific claims are here, that Pete fired his black police chief because he like is racist, but supposedly like the police chief that Pete fired was literally under FBI investigation because that police chief was wiretapping his own officers. I'm uncomfortable stating that because I need to go and read more about it, but like from a cursory glance, that kind of seemed like the case. Unless maybe I'm missing a lot there, but I feel like the arguments that Hassan's making have lost so much credibility to me that I'm not going to believe it at face value anymore. You know? Yeah, I don't know. The police chief quoted his own officers making racist statements about him. Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably maybe I'll do some reading in that later and I'll look it up, but I also don't know how I feel about all like the booty judge comments. Like, I don't know, man. It feels kind of memey to me. I can't read this. This is a fucking New York Times article. Oh wait, incognito mode works in Europe. Thank God. I don't know if I would call it necessarily homophobic with those comments. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. The only reason to make the joke is to invoke the fact that he's gay. Wait, is Pete gay? Oh, whoa, holy shit. Wait, those comments are super homophobic. Wait, what the fuck? No way. Oh shit. It's literally making fun of his name? I would be incredibly uncomfortable calling a guy that's gay Pete Booty Judge. What the fuck? That's horrible. You know this, we went through this before, unless I dreamed about it. We went through the last name thing, but I don't think I knew that he was gay. I don't think I've ever heard that before. Isn't that how you pronounce his name? Isn't it Buttigieg? But I mean, it's clearly sound like Booty Judge. Holy shit. It would probably still happen if he was hetero, no? I mean, even if it would happen if he was hetero, like, I don't know. I don't know. I do know. I would never, that's a, damn. Here's what I'm trying to imagine. Let's say that Bernie Sanders' last name was Bernie Buttigieg, and Bernie was gay, and like conservatives were calling him like Bernie Buttigieg. Do you feel like people on the left would be like, oh, that's not homophobic? That's just like a nickname they have for him? I have a hard time believing that. This is literally how you pronounce his name. Look it up. It's captioned Booty Judge. It literally says in the closed captions, Booty Judge. Fuck off, okay? Destiny, it's literally just a funny sounding name. You're reading too much into it. Do you guys not realize you're making the same arguments that cryptos make when they do this on the right? I can't tell. You're literally verbatim copy pasting the arguments. No, dude, it's just a meme. No, man, it's just a funny name like Booty Judge. It's just funny. It's just funny to make fun of his name, dude. It's like you're literally making the exact same arguments. What the fuck? There is no malintention behind it. Okay, and I don't hate gay people when I use the F word. Like, you never let that argument slide for people. Has this all been a bunch of virtue signaling? You never let that argument slide for people on the right. When gamers are like, oh, I say the F slur word, but I don't say it. I don't actually hate gay people when I say it. There's no malintent behind it. Since when the fuck has that ever mattered? What the fuck? Come on, guys. Shape the fuck up. It's literally the same argument that gamers use for gamer words. They say the N word or the F word. That's a big reach, my man. Okay. This is why being a Bernie bro is super bad, since they are fake progressives when it comes to social issues. Destiny, what about this tweet by his husband? The tweet by his husband doesn't say Booty Judge at all. What options? Boot edge, Buddha judge, boot a judge, Buddha judge. None of these say Booty Judge. Do you think it might even specifically not say Booty Judge for a reason? Why would you link this, assuming this supports your argument? Or were you linking this in favor of me? Like, I feel like, remember when we all got mad? Dude, the useful idiot thing. I'm starting to hardcore. I'm feeling that useful idiot thing. Like, I've been a useful idiot for fucking fake woke progressives for so long. Holy shit. What, remember when we all got mad about this shit?
His cotton picket mind.
People got so mad at this.
Westbrook is out of his cotton picket mind. Westbrook.
People got so mad at this. Remember, was there some basketball commentator on ESPN that referred to that one Asian guy and said that there was a chink in his armor, referring to like a weakness of his play or whatever? People were like, is this really that good? Right? I feel like people got so mad at this. Somebody in chat, hold on. So like, dude, I can't tell. Someone in chat says, why is Booty Judge an attack on his sexuality? Would we really be saying this if somebody on the right said this? Destiny, bit of a reach? I can't tell. The Chapo people call him Boot Chug too and claim it isn't homophobic at all. Is your take that Hassan is a homophobe then? No, my take is that it's just casual homophobia, but it's funny because it's a gay guy that we don't like. Kind of like how, if I were to listen to like Gavin McInnes, that guy, if I were to listen to him call a gay guy a sissy, it would make me really uncomfortable. Now, Gavin might come out and say like, oh, well, I'm not actually being homophobic or whatever. It's just like a word that I use instantly. It's like, okay, sure. But like, man, that feels real shit. Like, because sissy is something that historically has been used to like demonize homosexuals, homosexual persons, I don't know, to gay people, and you doing it, and I know there are people that are going to take that and listen to it and think it's a funny way to make fun of them because it's okay because we don't like that person. But like, the idea of calling Pete like Booty Judge, I don't know. Damn, I didn't know he was gay. Fuck, I defended you guys for so long. When people were saying Buttigieg was homophobic, I'm like, no, is it really? No, come on. I don't know, Buttigieg, whatever. But the fact that, oh, fuck, I can't believe I didn't know that he was gay. After we just got mad at Steven Crowder for calling that one guy a lesbian queer and shit. Like, holy fuck. Okay, sorry. Let's go back to this. Definitely not a joke because his name is hard to pronounce. Good take. Are you disagreeing with me? I don't know, man. Man, I really wish I could, like... Wish we could go back in time. Or create another world where conservatives make this joke and see what people say. Let me tell you the difference for you, my friend. Buttigieg is very similar to Buttigieg, or Buttigieg, where a cotton-picking mind is not easily confused with anything to do with the player. He literally is making fun of his name. But, so just to be clear, you're saying that if he wasn't gay, Hassan wouldn't have made this joke? I don't know if he would have or not. I'm just saying that, I don't know, dude. Fuck, am I like the only woke person here? I don't even like being woke. I don't know. Maybe I'm, I don't understand, dude. I would be, I feel like this is not a controversial statement. If somebody's last name was Buttigieg, I don't think that I would be like, or Buttigieg, I don't think I would be like making fun of his name and calling him Buttigieg when I know that he's gay. That just sounds so incredibly fucking stupid to me. Why the fuck would I do that and claim to be woke at the same time? Like, that is like the most anti-fucking woke thing you can ever fucking do. That's so stupid. Like, if somebody's last name was like French and it was like Feg what? Or whatever, with a silent T at the end, and like I accidentally mispronounced it as like, and I'm like, oh well, look, it's just because of his name. I don't actually like hate gay people. Like, what the fuck? You would never, no one would ever settle that. Obviously, calling somebody that word is a lot worse than saying booty judge, but like it's the same concept. This idea that just because his name is easily confused with something, like, here's a question. Okay, here's a question. Let's say that his last name wasn't Buttigieg. Let's say that his last name was Smith. He was Peter Smith. Unless these people started calling him Peter Buttigieg. Would you be comfortable with that? If your answer to that is no, of course not, well then why does it make it any better just because his name is close to that? How is booty anything against gay people? Okay, so in the human anatomy, male urethras don't typically open up to accept an oncoming penis. It's like fuck each other in the ass, okay? I don't know how much you're aware of this. Hopefully I'm not like blowing your fucking worldview, but one of the ways that gay people tend to have sex is via anal sex. So if a gay guy is a booty judge, it's because he's... I don't know how I need to, like... Jesse doesn't know straight people do anal. Straight people do anal too. But I would say that, like, anal sex is, like... If you're a gay person, it's a pretty heavily associated thing with you. It's a big thing to point out that gay men engaging in anal sex has historically been used as a scare tactic against them for decades. Yeah, of course. We've all seen that video of the guy, I don't remember in which country it is, where he's saying, like, gay people, they eat the poo-poo, right? Like... Do you think the joke can be made if he isn't gay? I think if he wasn't gay, yeah. If it wasn't gay, I don't think it'd be a big deal. Although, well, I still think it would be juvenile and dumb. But the fact that he's, oh, man, whatever, dude. I don't know. Maybe I'm virtue signaling now. I can't tell. Is butt chug homophobic? Is that what somebody said on the chat already? They call him Pete Butt Chug? I don't know. Whatever, dudes. I wish that it was a conservative doing this so I could see if the reactions were the same. But I mean, there's no way we'll ever be able to test that. Oh, Gabbo, did you email me that? I'll probably look at that in the future, yeah. Son called him butt something too? Wait, did he? I don't know, whatever, dudes. Maybe I'm too woke or fake woke or something. Is there a way to get this New York Times story? Can somebody put this in a paste
Sydney
for me?
so no bunnies need Amazon Prime. Enjoy the last of my Bezos bucks.
Thanks, Intrinsic. Yeah, I appreciate it, my dude. If that's homophobic, then calling you Esteban is xenophobic? How? What? Destiny, hot take. It's because Pete isn't flaming. If he was, then this would be an issue. Maybe, dude. I don't care. There's a whole bunch more to go into there, but I don't care. I don't feel like the other people arguing this are being honest. I would legit fucking give all of my money away to whatever charity you want. If we can make another world where a conservative, where Pete was like the main Democrat running, and some conservative like Steven Crowder was calling him Pete Buttigieg, and everybody's like, oh yeah, he's not being homophobic at all. He's just making fun of his name. He's just saying Buttigieg because it's like a play on his name. It's not homophobic at all. There is no fucking way. You're lying to yourself. If you honestly think people on the left would let those comments slide and say those aren't homophobic, absolutely fucking lying to yourself. But if you're that dug in, you're never gonna admit it. So fuck it. I would defend Crowder for that. Okay, dude. Destiny, who's more likely to be homophobic, Hassan or Steven Crowder? Well, but that's not the point. The point isn't your intention, right? We've argued this a million times. It's not the intentionality behind the word, it's the effect it has in society. Why are you giving me gamer arguments for gamer words now? Why are you guys turning into... What are you guys doing? Context matters? Known homophobe versus LGBT person or ally saying it? These are gamer bro arguments. You're giving me gamer arguments. You know I'm not homophobic, so I should be able to call anybody an absolute I want. What the fuck? I think you're conflating arguments here. Both the Democrat and the conservative saying it is irresponsible at the least, but with a conservative, you could suspect homophobic intent and the reactions should be worse. Yeah, but we don't go by intent.
Thanks for the great streams.
I feel like I've never argued this in my entire life. Do we need to revisit why we probably shouldn't use harmful language? I wrote about this in 2013.
AYAYA.
Like, holy shit. Is it really just a sides thing? Like when our side does it, it's okay. When the other side does it, it's not? Like what the fuck? Or is this because I'm streaming at EU hours? Is this all my fucking degenerate European audience coming out right now? Do you think that most gay men would be offended by booty judge? I think that if you're like critiquing somebody's positions and you're doing it by using a play on their last name that could come off as slightly homophobic, yeah, I feel like that would feel pretty fucking shit. If I was debating a gay guy called like John Asman, and I was debating, I was like, all right, John Assman, let's see what your arguments are. You don't think that would feel a little bit shit? You don't think that would be like a little bit fucking stupid? Like, you don't think the guy might feel like a little bit like, oh, okay, like, damn. Like, you don't think that's like... Not to mention that, like, imagine the optics. Imagine the optics when people on the left start calling him booty judge, and then people on the right see it and they think it's okay, and now actual homophobic people on the right start calling him booty judge. How the fuck are you going to win that argument? When somebody like Bill O'Reilly or Sean Hannity or Chris Tucker is like, now we have Pete booty judge, and you're like, wait, hold on, you can't say that. It's like, what do you mean? You people say it all the time. Well, it's different when we say it like that. Like, really? You're going to go with that one? How the fuck are you ever going to win that argument? Did I say Chris Tucker? I mean Tucker Carlson. I'm sorry. Chris Tucker might be homophobic too. I don't know anything about his politics. I don't know if I'm going to get banned for listening to this. I mean, it's a George Carlson skit. Or not George Carlson. It's a George Carlin skit. But basically, Carlin is making the gamer argument. Where he's saying, like, as long as the context is okay. Basically, these are the arguments that I made like 9 years ago. You can find me making these same arguments. That basically, well, the context makes it okay. So now we're using the gamer bro argument because somebody on the left.
Wow, I can't believe it's been 31 months, Kane. I love you, Destiny Kane.
I'm gonna delete all my shit and start over. We're gonna be a new political streamer. I want to start over. I need to get rid of this fan base. Oh my god. All right. Pete Buttigieg. I don't even know how to pronounce his name anymore. Has been mayor just 13 weeks when he faced a leadership crisis. It was March 2012 when 300 residents of South Bend, Indiana, solemnly marched to the Martin Luther King Center to protest the killing and flight of a black teenager, Trayvon Martin. Prominent figure at the demonstration was Daryl Boykins, South Bend's first black police chief. Admired for teaching tennis and boxing to young people, he had been promoted to chief 5 years earlier after winning the respect of both black and white officers at a department sometimes divided along racial lines. Mr. Buttigieg addressed the protesters but seemed not to interact with Mr. Boykins. When no one in the crowd knew that the police top brass were in turmoil, shaken by allegations that Mr. Boykins had improperly taped phone calls with senior white officers who were said to have used racist language, including about him. With federal prosecutors scrutinizing Mr. Boykins, the 29-year-old mayor fired the veteran police chief just before the Trayvon Martin protest. No action was taken against the officers. Precisely what they said on the tapes of the department phone calls is unknown to the public. Mr. Buttigieg has refused to release them, saying the matter is still being resolved in court. I could be wrong, but I don't think that Pete has actually heard these tapes. Right? I don't think he's allowed to. I don't think he has yet. I think I read that like this is, since it's like a subject of FBI investigation and it wasn't acquired in a legal manner, he himself has not heard these tapes. He says he hasn't. There's no possible way he could. Okay. So like just real quick, the idea that like he's heard that these officers were racist and he was like shielding them or something is just absolutely not true. In the weeks, months, and years that followed, the removal of Mr. Boykins unleashed a blizzard of claims, counterclaims, and lawsuits, as well as anguish among South Bend's minority residents over whether an ambitious white mayor had sided with white police officers against a black chief. The day after Mr. Boykin's dismissal, he was applauded at a gathering of 100 officers, council members, and clergy. The events played out against a backdrop of frustration among some African Americans that they may not have benefited equally from an economic resurgence in South Bend, which Mr. Buttigieg extols which he extols in his presidential bid. As Mr. Buttigieg seeks the Democratic nomination, and a party whose base is anchored by minority voters, his handling of Mr. Boykin's dismissal and its messy aftermath raised questions whether the mayor either misunderstood or mishandled sensitivities surrounding race and policing in the place he knew best, a city which is 37% black and Latino. It felt stomach-churning, Mr. Buttigieg recalled of the night of the 2012 protest, speaking in an interview, to know that the same days we were at what even then I understood was going to be the beginning of an incredibly painful and divisive moment of race relations in my city. At the time, Mr. Buttigieg has said he removed the police chief because he had lost faith in him after discovering the FBI was investigating him for secretly taping officers' phone calls. The chief sued the city for racial discrimination over his firing and won $50,000 in 2013. 4 white officers sued the city for invasion of privacy and defamation and won a $500,000 payout the same year. In a political memoir released this year, Mr. Buttigieg wrote that the police tapes case affected my relationships with the African American community in particular for years to come. Hold on. Some minority leaders in South Bend say the case is an example of tone deafness on the part of a rising star in the 2020 Democratic field. Mr. Buttigieg, the first major gay candidate and the first millennial to seek the presidency, has received a burst of attention and support, measured in $7 million in donations, unexpected strength in polls, and mostly positive news coverage. Check out our track of the 2020 Democratic candidate field. Oh, sorry, I don't know why I just said that. On Sunday, he kicked off his campaign with a rally in a once derelict Studebaker auto plant, now sheathed in high-tech glass and home to new businesses. It was evidence of the turnaround story of South Bend the mayor tells to abuse skeptics who say America has never elevated a mayor to the White House, much less one who governs fewer citizens than fit in some Big Ten football stadiums. His accomplishments include the commercial revival of the downtown, a bump up of 12,000 jobs over his 2 terms, and the demolition or repair of over 1,000 decrepit houses to attack urban blight. But there were few people of color at his rally. The former Democratic consultant David Axelrod, a friend of the mayor's, noted in a tweet, "The crowd seems very large, very impressive, but also very white, an obstacle he will have to overcome." Regina Williams Preston, who represents a majority black district on the South Bend City Council, called Mr. Buttigieg a smart guy, a nice guy, but added, "We have to look past the polish and really look at the policy." He said minority activists pushed for years for a citizens review board, which would have a role in police discipline and promotions. At Mr. Buttigieg's State of the City speech in 2017, she was astonished to hear him cite a long-standing group, the Board of Public Safety, which the mayor appoints to boast the city now had a citizens review board. Citizens had asked for a citizens review board, and for him to say now we have one, in fact it's the same thing we've always had, that was really disingenuous, Miss Williams Preston said. Just because you say that doesn't make it so, to me it was a betrayal. An issue of the police taping story are some of the most charged issues in municipal and national politics, including surveillance of personal privacy, government transparency, and allegations of racism and unlawful behavior by the police. So she believed the mayor had worked hard trying to bridge the gap. Oh. Hold on, let me just read this, see if there's anything else about the police chief. Actually, here, I have commercials while I do this. Fuck off. Yeah. So why did Mr. Buttigieg fire Mr. Boykins in the first place? He maintains he was pressured by federal prosecutors. In Shortest Way Home, his memoir published in February, he writes that a message came through from prosecutors that he must push out Mr. Boykins, and they would file charges against him for violating the Federal Wiretap Act. The mayor speculates in his book that prosecutors were trying to duck responsibility for taking down a beloved African-American police chief by getting Mr. Buttigieg to fire him instead. It was made very clear to me by the FBI and the United States Attorney that either we would take employment action or there would be indictments, he said. Mr. Boykins' lawyer, Tom Dixon, said that when he first heard this explanation evoked by Mr. Buttigieg in 2012, a red flag went up. He asked an assistant prosecutor at the U.S. Attorney's Office, a lawyer he knew from church, about the mayor's assertion. He said, that explanation is so contrary to the protocols of U.S. Attorney's offices, Mr. Dixon recalled, it would never condition a determination on prosecuting or not prosecuting based on an employment decision. It would never happen. Mr. Boykins had insisted that the recordings were made inadvertently, as part of a long-standing police department practice of taping some phone lines. Destiny, it's important to know that the police chief didn't tell Pete about the investigation. Pete was blindsided by the FBI. Would you have confidence in your police chief if you found out about him breaking a law from the FBI? Probably not, but... yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the right play is there. That seems like a pretty shit situation. It seems like his actions were probably a little tone-deaf, though, considering everything. I'm curious, so does anybody have a link to Hassan talking about, like, the firing of this police chief? Like, how does he characterize this? Destiny, look at the replies to this Kolinsky tweet. Homophobia is okay as long as it's memes and against somebody they don't like. Twitter, work your magic. We need to clip ASAP. Sorry, at Kolinsky. Obama gay.0 is definitive. But giggity. I like booty call better. Hey man, that's a nice booty. Should have been Pete Buttplug. Booty judge is your version of the mouthfeel. Dude likes his booties, lol. I don't know, whatever. I don't know what language games are now. Yeah, okay. Did I do my 2 hours of politics for today? Am I good? Destiny, does it frustrate you that it seems like everything you believed about the right back in the day, about not really agreeing with your argumentation so much and agreeing with the conclusions, applies to the lefties too? Well, yeah, that's kind of what I said, like, over the past, like, couple months. I've kind of realized that, like, I had a big turning point a long time ago when I realized I was just a useful idiot for the right, that I was making a bunch of arguments, and I thought people liked the arguments I was making, but in reality, they just liked my conclusions because it supported whatever they wanted to believe. And now I kind of realize that, like, oh, fuck, I guess, like, most of the people on the left that agree with me are doing the exact same thing. So it feels pretty shit. But, I mean, fuck it, dude. What are you gonna do? Other than be clear more, I'll try to be more clear, I guess, whatever. We'll rebuild again. I mean, it's pretty disappointing. I find it almost impossible to have a conversation with so many people now. Lefties only care about optics and praxis, and right towards only care about killing brown people. Yeah. Do you see any value in the distinction between the religious right and the secular left? Yeah, of course. I think in terms of policy between the left and the United States, I fall in line like 99% more than I do with like people on the right. Destiny, it's almost as if you are a centrist and constantly misrepresenting the definition was a mistake. I've said as much that I'm a centrist, or that I consider myself an actual centrist because I'm a center on most issues, but I would never call myself a centrist publicly because most people that identify as centrists are actually like conservatives in disguise. You're not actually in the center of anything, are you? I am in the center. I'm in the center of like I guess I would be in the center of like the American right, and then like the fucking commies and tankies online that dominate like left-leaning political discourse. I guess I'd be in the center of those two things. In terms of like American politics, I'm still like significantly to the left, but. Destiny, can you check this? It feels like Hassan is misunderstanding your argument yesterday. I saw this comment. I try not to respond to him. I mean, like, this is a pretty shitty thing to say. Debate is largely for entertainment. It's not constructive conversation. Although it does have the capacity to sway people, the Redditor is circle jerking with the underlying assumptions that Destiny is testing the validity of my premises and not just engaging in pedantry, using false dilemmas and even emotional appeals, as though he's simply testing my moral system, not trying to win the conversation, is laughable. Logical fallacies obviously work as a rhetorical tool. I don't mind certain dishonest tactics like gish galloping and appeals to emotion, even straw manning, when it's used against the right as though I believe them to be a threat to our existence. I do mind when it's used to overwhelm an opponent that is on the left. I don't know, whatever. Destiny, nice of you to let him off the hook because he can't handle philosophical talks. No, I'm just saying, like, if we were to go into that realm, that philosophical realm, I mean, like, I could bully him with any position I wanted to. I could argue deontology or consequentialism. It doesn't really prove my point is right or not, right? Because he hasn't spent as much time, like, investigating that area. So there's no point in, like, diving into that conversation. But, okay. I love you, boys. Okay, good luck, guys. Wait.
You and Hassan need an IRL hangout stream where you can just chill and chat. Every interaction recently has been heated debates, so we need some wind down time to remind us you guys are still friends.
Okay, listen. I reject this, okay? This idea that, like,
Wowee.
We both exist as professionals in this space. I've been pretty unheated, and I've tried to de-escalate multiple times. This idea that somebody can just lay into me with, like, ad homs like crazy, and that I need to, like, take a step and have, like, a drink with him. Like, hey, dude, we're chill, right? Like, I mean, come on. He's pretty much said, like, my entire career is shit, and the only thing I've ever engaged in is, like, dirty, like, debate tactics. Like, all the things that right people say about me. Like, come on, dude. Nah, I don't care that much. Fuck that shit. Let's be real. You triggered him so hard, dude. Yeah, again, I'm not gonna try the same ground. If you view the conversation I had yesterday as triggering him so hard, you would never say this about me talking to right people, and two, I didn't. Like, I can't use, like, I don't have, like, better kid gloves than what I used yesterday. I'm sorry. I'm hosting his Hafu. I love you guys. It's been fun. Destiny unfollowed him. Unfollowed him on what? Wait. Tina and Parker, show me where I unfollowed him and I'll unban you. Good luck. Alright, rip on, guys.
Strap in, boys.
Can you explain how booty judge is a slur? No, I don't think I'll talk about that. This feels like one of those issues where like I wish I had like an alternate reality machine, so I could see how you guys would react if Pete was like the Democratic frontrunner, we all loved him, and Steven Crowder like made a video being like, well, here's Pete Buttigieg, like, but I mean obviously you'll never admit to it, so it's whatever. With your Buttigieg argument, is it not okay for black people to say the N-word and gay people the F slur? I didn't realize Hassan came out as gay. Destiny, yeah, but Hassan isn't homophobic. Crowder is homophobic. Oh. So, you realize it's the gamer word argument. I'm not homophobic. Can I go back to, like, saying fag if I want to, since I'm not homophobic? Like, we don't accept these arguments, ever. Except when it's the left, I guess? I don't understand. I don't understand why we're making the intention argument now. You made this argument just 1 year ago? I didn't. I don't really want to talk about this yet until we have a lot of people in
Nerd
here.
Duckers bonus meme. ECH.
Like, when I said you can use slurs, like, privately, like, that's not, like, publicly. And I don't know. I don't know how else to illustrate the difference between that. I don't understand how calling him Buttigieg has anything to do with him being gay. I don't know, dudes. I can't tell who's in good faith or not. I just wish, I wish, maybe we'll forget. I hope we can move to a point where Crowder calls him Buttigieg, and people like him. I really want to see how the left will react to it. I already know the answer, but I feel like a lot of people aren't being honest with themselves. You guys would lose your fucking shit over it. I know you would. Rightfully so, I think you should. I legitimately don't understand how it's homophobic. I don't know.
Yee.
It's Buttigieg. Or we could say Booty Judge. I mean, I don't know. He looks like he's crossed with a gerbil. He certainly has one up his ass. Nice. So because Hasanabi called it Destiny's hypocrisy, Destiny's using some identity politics to paint Hassan as a homophobic and listener. I never said Hassan was homophobic. I never even made that big of a deal out of the Buttigieg comments. It was like a comment that I made at the end of the stream because somebody liked me and told me he was gay. I didn't know. But apparently people have like blown it up into some huge thing about me canceling Hassan, which I haven't. I don't actually even really care that much about it. I think it's kind of funny that people pretend like they wouldn't care if someone on the right said it, but it wasn't actually like a huge takeaway from anything that's happened recently, except for the fact that you guys decided to make a thread about it and blow it up like I'm canceling Hassan over that, like it's even a big deal.
Nice posture, my dude.
Thanks. You explicitly said he wasn't homophobic.
Molden Molder Pepperlaw.
You did have a pretty nice smile when you found out he said it. I think I had a smile when I found out Pete was gay, because I had no fucking idea, and that made me see everything in a whole different fucking light. Serious question, how did you not know he's gay? Oh, because I haven't followed him at all. I don't know why Fallon are bringing up him saying booty judge, like somehow that. I guess like if George Carlin is talking to a black guy and uses the N-word around him, that we can all do it to a black guy too, but like, okay. Oh, I read this Hassan comment. Dude, he tries to weasel out of everything he says. When I ad-hom Destiny about being a recent political streamer, I was just showing him how much ad-homs hurt. Okay, dude. Destiny, the I was just memeing defense, it keeps on repeating as well. Yeah. I mean, it's just basically everything. Is Buttigieg equal to the F-Slayer? No, of course not. Can you and Hassan reconcile? Yeah, I mean, I don't hate Hassan, I guess. I don't think I've ever hated Hassan. Oh, I like this quote by Hassan too. It literally means God, you idiot. Also, I'm not calling Buttigieg that because he's gay, because that's the easiest way to say his last name. Dude, it's so disingenuous.
I end up cleaning.
Sorry, I'm trying to find what part of the video this was.
Ended, instantly owning it. Call him a nerd. The monologue ended. Trump would just call him a nerd. As soon as Butt Judge's beautifully crafted monologue.
We've got Butt Judge.
In the midst of a heated debate on climate change, as soon as Butt Judge's beautifully crafted monologue ended.
Maybe that was the easiest way to say his name there.
Theme I've noticed amongst booty heads.
Oh, maybe that was the easiest way to say the ending part of his name there.
Giving voice to the anxieties that they feel. With they aside from the funeral.
Fuck, when does he say booty judge? Fuck, I'm not gonna be able to find it.
Do you guys really have to stop being friends over this shit? You guys have always disagreed, but has that stopped you from going to the mall arcade barbecue? We still love you though.
But Chichej, Booty check? Booty judge? Okay, it's really hard to say this dude's last name. Now, Booty Judge has been the talk of the town.
This video right now, I don't feel like changing it to desktop, but the caption is literally, "Now Booty Judge has been the talk of the town." This wasn't an accident. And it's not because it's the easiest way to say his name. It's Booty Judge. Like, you can look it up. Like, I mean, like, if your job is making videos, it's probably pretty easy to say a person's last name. Like, I mean, like, he's literally lying in this tweet, which now makes me think more that he knows it's probably not good, right? Now I feel even more convinced this is reaching. Wait, they literally title it in the video as Booty Judge. It adds entertainment value to the video. Yeah, I mean, I guess if that's what you want to do is just make like, but that's what we're going to talk about, okay? Why is constructive friendship seen as, or constructive criticism as friendship ending? Yeah, we'll talk about it, okay? Okay. His fans are trying to tell me it's just the easiest way to say his name and they are not making fun of him. I mean, yeah, they're pretty clearly making fun of him, right? But it's whatever, dude, I don't care. It's a fucking joke about how hard to say his name. Holy shit, it's literally so bad faith that I'm now going back on if you were ever honest. I've been dishonest the whole time. Okay.
Hassan and Kulinski versus Destiny and Pac-Man. Do it for the culture.
How is calling him Booty Judge homophobic? Are gay people the only ones that like booty? I don't know, my dude. It's one of those things. All I said when I saw it, here's my take on it. Like, holy fuck, you guys like blew this coming up hugely. If somebody told me that they were gay and their last name was pronounced like Buddha Judge, I would be super worried about, like, that's the joke I'm gonna go with. Booty Judge. Hey, Booty Judge. What's up, Booty Judge? That, holy shit. I don't know. Maybe I've just gotten, like, maybe I'm too woke and I'm tone policing, or, like, I'm SJW or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe I'm just too SJW. But, like, I don't know. It kind of feels like calling, like, a gay guy. What was the thing I said? Like, if there was a gay guy and his name was like Muhammad Asman, and I'm like, yo, what's up, Muhammad Assman? Like, it would feel like really fucked to me. But I don't know. Maybe I've spent too much time like running down the SJW politics shit. But I don't know. But I don't even know what anybody believes anymore in terms of like what their like actual positions are, because I can't tell. That's a really big reach, and I'm SJW as fuck. Yeah, maybe it is. I don't know. I mean, I don't think so, but like I said, I think that people are like so far down their own like ideologies at this point, that it's whatever. So I can't really tell. Would it better characterize your opinion that at least the joke is in bad taste? Well, yeah, but who cares if a joke is in bad taste? Like, I don't know, that could be funny. Gay people don't all have anal sex and love booty. You're implying that on your own. Dude, I'm trying to imagine, like, I wish I could see conservatives making these arguments. It would be so funny to watch you guys rip them apart. Like, I'm imagining people in Crowder's comments like, dude, not every gay man has anal sex. That's your assumption, you liberal cuck. Like, I mean, like, dude, you guys would be fucking roasting them so hard. Oh my god.
This drama turned me into a libertarian pog.
I don't know, dude.
I bet Hassan would never do this to someone with a tribal African last name, or if it was a woman, really gets the noggin joggin'. Dude, I was with you with the Kamala stuff, but this is actually cancer.
Okay, dude.
Jimmy Fallon and Pete even did a skit about his name with Booty Judge in it on TBLMAO.
Wow, cool, dude. Let me go cash in my N-word pass from Carlin, okay? I'm pretty sure he said that around black people too. I think you have to separate the people who honestly don't think it's being homophobic and the people who are actively being dishonest. Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think you have to be homophobic to say it. It's just like, that's something that, like, if I found out like a guy was if I found out a dude was gay, booty equals N-word. I don't think Booty Judge equals N-word. I don't think F-word equals N-word. I don't think Booty Judge equals F-word. I don't know why you think every single, like, gay slur. I don't think sissy equals F word, but I would be super uncomfortable if a guy was calling like a gay dude like a sissy as well, right? I don't think sissy is the same as the N word, or sissy is the gay is the is like the equivalent to like another gay slur. I don't understand, but yeah, I don't know. Then stop comparing them. All right, you're getting an IP ban, dude. I'm too tired to deal with dipshits like you. You can't compare two things unless they're the same thing. Well, what's the point of the comparison then? What? What, what does that mean?
Reminder that we should all get along and own the right together. Love you, Destiny and Hassan.
It's
Nobly.
literally the same as the Benedict Cumberbatch jokes mixed with butt jokes. Not a single thing about the joke points to homophobia that is so unbelievably uncharitable. It's like Destiny's trying to smear us on. First of all,
I'm still mad that you don't understand how stop signs work.
Nice.
Too much drama.
First of all, I didn't even know Benedict Cumberbatch is gay. Maybe he is. But secondly, now knowing that he's gay, yeah, if people were making butt jokes with his name, I don't know. Like I said, maybe it's just me, dude. I know that there's also like a big problem with like a lot of like lefties and shit like not being woke and they're like cool for it. Like that's like apparently a Chapo meme. He's not gay. It's a joke about Cumberbatch. Oh, if he's not gay, I don't really care as much. But I said that as much during the Pete shit. I think the Pete thing was called up. I think the Pete stuff was brought up where somebody in chat asked me, really? LOL, what? Yeah, this was my exact take when I watched it the first time. I don't even know what, if half of you people have any fucking idea what I've ever even said. I really don't know. But when it was first brought up, somebody in chat asked me, do you think it's homophobic to call Pete Buttigieg, fuck, I don't even remember it now. Yeah, Buttigieg, to call him Booty Judge. And I was like, no, why the fuck would that be homophobic? Because I didn't know he was gay. And then somebody told me it was gay, and I was like, oh, wait, holy shit, that changes things a lot. I don't know, making like ass jokes about a person's name to somebody that's actually gay feels really fucked up to me. It just feels like, yeah, I don't know, it just feels fucked up to me. Like, I don't know, I would never do that. But maybe I've seen too much Gatchy shit or something. Yeah, I don't know. What does being gay have to do with liking ass? I don't know, my dude. I mean, like, when you get a little bit older, you learn how gay sex works. Well, Destiny, first of all, you're being transphobic. Not every gay man has a penis, firstly. Secondly, not every gay couple has anal sex, Destiny, so you're actually being transphobic and homophobic with your assumption. Do you think Hassan is homophobic for real or not? No, of course not. But I don't think most gamers, when they say fag or faggot, are homophobic either. But we've never used these arguments before. Do you understand? Like, when we're asking whether or not somebody should be allowed to say a word, we're not saying, like, well, what is the intention? Is that person homophobic or not? What we're saying is, hey, these people have a public platform. It's probably not a good idea to, like, normalize, like, these types of insults that could be homophobic, right? It's typically the arguments we've given in the past. But I see now that, like, nobody really agrees. Or no, I don't know. It'd be like if somebody called Hasanabi Kebab Boy or something like that. Yeah, I would be like really uncomfortable. Hasanabi, calling him like Hassan Kababi or something. Yeah, I'd be like, damn, I don't know. That feels like kind of fucking racist. Yeah, I would feel the same way about that too. Yeah. How is that at all the same? I don't know. Destiny, clip before you knew he was gay and after. I don't know if I would call it necessarily homophobic. With those comments, maybe the joke is to invoke the fact that he's. Wait, hold on. I don't know if I would call it necessarily homophobic. With those comments, maybe it is. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. But then I found out he's gay. The reason to make the joke is to invoke the fact that he's gay. Wait, is Pete gay? Oh, whoa, holy shit! Wait, those comments are super homophobic. I don't know, dude. Making ass jokes about gay people. I don't know. Maybe I got too woke. My bad. I don't know. Look at how excited he is. This is so fucked, dude. Cause I didn't know he was fucking gay. And it seems like fucking weird to like go in to call a dude booty judge, you know he's gay. But I don't know, like I said. I mean, like, I understand that like lefties like are anti-woke shit or whatever because they don't give a fuck about anything outside of class. So I mean, I get it. I get it. That's not necessarily true, but I don't care. Okay. You're being so insanely dishonest. Okay. All right. Okay. Here we go. We're doing the big. We're doing the big. Oh God. This is fucking. Oh, hold on. I need my. We need music for this. Just because you're gay doesn't make you immune to jokes. People make racist jokes, height jokes, sexist jokes, but at the end of the day, it's just a joke. There they are. Get all those gamer bro arguments out here. Wheel them out, boys. What is the best use of your time? Lay out your analysis now or call us on and directly talk about your issues. I mean, we already talked about it. Oh, man. I should have outlined what I wanted to say. Just give me a minute to think. I hope I don't fall asleep. Destiny, feels really weird that we've gone so far down the trans-inclusive pronoun stuff, and now we're going down the let's call him booty judge route. Yeah. I think the booty and booty judge being a reference to his sexuality is kind of a reach. To my knowledge, not even alt-right is using homophobically. Oh yeah, sure. I don't think anybody ever intended it to be that way. I'm just saying, like, now knowing that he's gay, I would be super uncomfortable saying it that way. It would kind of be like if I knew that a guy was, like, weak, like, I might call him, like, a sissy. But if I knew that he was weak and gay, I would be a lot less comfortable calling him. I probably wouldn't say that because it feels a little bit. Now it feels a little weird. Like, I don't know if that makes sense or not. Maybe it doesn't. I don't give a fuck. I really don't care. I really don't even care about this. Like I said, I think we talked about this for a total. I don't know why people are. Yeah, I don't know why people are question marking me. No, nobody agrees with that at all. Damn. Maybe I've just been around like. Maybe I've been around like so many homophobic people. Destiny, is being reasonable, trying not to be cunty. It's not about being cunty. It's about like words that like I see people use like certain types of words to demean like either gay people or women. And like sissy is one of those words. Like there's like a lot of words you can use against a gay guy that aren't like, you know, like aren't like the fag word, but you can say like you're a sissy, you're a pussy, you're acting like a little girl, like a woman. And those aren't words that are just like random insults. They're usually words that are like attacking the person's masculinity, oftentimes by way of their sexuality, you know?
Destiny, more like Dixony, LULW. I funny, guys?
And sissy,
guys?
like, implying that like a gay man is weak, or child molester, or other things, right? Are often ways that people have attacked homosexual people in the past. Or saying homosexual people are like obsessed with asses or anal sex. Like, these are like, I don't know. It feels really weird. Like these are like pretty common ways that like people that like gay men have been attacked in the past. You know, like we've watched like videos of like I don't remember what country it was, but like and the gay man he eats the poo poo out of the booty. You know, like we've seen videos of this, and now everybody's like wait, what? How could booty judge ever be homophobic? It's like I don't know, man. It just feels kind of weird. Like I said, like if I saw people like Crowder or something, you know, like calling like him like, and now we have Pete Booty Judge. It's like damn, I don't know. I'd feel kind of shit hearing it, but.
I 100% agree with the sissy insult, but I think because his name is so close to the insult, it's a free pass.
Can we please move on? Yeah, like I said, I don't like even care about this that much. It wasn't something that I only talked about this for like 1 or 2 minutes, so then somebody made a thread on it, so. Destiny, talk about why the context argument is bad, you promised. I thought we've talked about this. I wrote something in 2013 about why context isn't a good way to justify homophobic insults. You can go back and read my article from when I was 23. Like I'm not gonna sit here and explain it now. When I thought all of us we should have had this memorized by now. Like, okay, here's oh god, this is so fucking painfully awkward. Will you hold yourself to this standard in relation to the jokes you make on stream? Dude, I've been doing this for months. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Dude, I've even moved off of like ableism and shit for the most part. Over the past like 4 or 5 months, I think I've called people retarded as an insult like less than like fucking 10 times. And this is something I said like every other sentence. After we got rid of like all the other slurs, calling people retarded or autistic was like every other sentence for me. And I like moved off of that almost entirely. I also moved off of personal insults almost entirely as well for the past like 6 months. Like I don't make fun of people that are fat or ugly or short. I don't like, yeah, of course, I apply a pretty harsh standard to the way that I make fun of people now. Like, I think my sticky Twitter thread is literally about that. I don't know how many months old that is, but I'd really like to see what actual LGBT people say about it before anything. This almost feels like a bunch of people being offended on behalf of them. I don't give a fuck about what actual LGBT people think. I've never given a fuck about what actual...
The cringe arc is not over. It only just has begun.
I don't need an LGBT person.
LULW.
I don't need an LGBT person to affirm or deny, like, my stance on harmful language. I've never needed an individual to tell me whether or not, like, should you be allowed to make fun of the blacks or the gays for this thing? I don't need an LGBT or a minority representative to tell me if that's right or wrong. Why would I ever rely on that? I could just farm, if I wanted to do that, I would just farm minorities that agreed with my opinions. I would just grab the Milo Yiannopoulos and the Blair Whites, and I would enable whatever homophobic or transphobic language I wanted. Isn't Destiny LGBTQ anyway? Oh shit, yeah, wait, do I count as that? Hell yeah, brother. Didn't you once say the black sounds pretty bad? Yeah, that was what I was saying. The blacks or the gays, obviously is. There is zero accountability for the bad arguments that Destiny makes on a daily basis because the community will just meme it as though he isn't literally using this as an opportunity to insinuate that I'm engaging in homophobia and absolute bad faith. Hassan, my subreddit relentlessly shits on me for every fucking argument I make. I have no idea what reality you live in.
Would you?
But this is the dumbest thing I've ever read in my entire life. Why would you say this? Oh my god. Dude, were you not here for the McDonald's debate? Were you not here for the United debate? Were you not here for the domestic abuse debate? Were you not here for the stop sign debate? Were you not here for the every abortion debate? Were you not here for every veganism debate? Were you not here? Like, holy shit. Like, what is this? What? With a spoiler debate? Oh, for the black guy
I'm
that...
gay. It
Shut
seems
up.
offensive to me.
Nice. For the black guy that had the white lady supervisor, that one? Oh, I'm sorry. Would you say your frustration with lefty started with a discussion with Marty, Rem, Irish, and Hassan about ruining ethical frameworks? No, it started earlier than that. Okay, here's... Oh yeah, my takes on AOC? Dude, I don't even know at this point if my fan base agrees with most of my takes or not. How could you say that people will let me slide on every argument? Especially, like, I don't want to go through your post history, but dude, how many things have you said recently where you've backtracked and said, oh, I was just memeing? You tweeted out about Booty Judge that, oh, you just said it because it's the easiest way to say his name. That's a lie. You even put it in your subtitles on your video as a joke. Clearly it wasn't about it being the easiest way to say his name. It was a joke. You lied about that. You backpedaled on that. During our conversation, you said, like, oh yeah, I would let those children starve. That was just a meme. You said, like, where are these arguments coming from? These are like the alt-right arguments. Like, oh, dude, that's just a meme. Those are just a meme. When we say that, it's just a meme. We're just memeing with that. Like, what the fuck? Remember he said women shouldn't call the police? Well, no, he didn't say women shouldn't call the police. He wouldn't go as far as to say that. That's what he wanted to say. But instead he just said, well, I wouldn't call the police. Okay. All right. Okay, are we ready to start? It's interesting that, like, some of the debate tactics I've picked up actually don't work. Destiny, I think he meant that you should never call the police if you're suspicious of some dudes in front of your house. Not that you should never call them, period. I specifically asked him multiple times, different questions, and he answered no to every one. That wasn't the only one. Like, and I do this intentionally. I make somebody answer a tough question to actually spell out their position. I feel like such a moron for actively defending Destiny for a long time. Alright. Okay, Hassan. Alright, I love you, buddy. Okay. Oh, God. You should have known by now that Destiny's an ass. Yep, I am. Okay. Destiny is the most dishonest piece of shit and will never back down, even though he's wrong. Can I get some truers in chat? True. Can I get some truths in the chat for that one, boys?
True.
Amen, brother. If you were a son right now, how would you reflect and reconcile differences? I don't think it can happen. Okay, alright, here we go, okay? My position, where do we start? I don't even know. I'll just start talking and then we'll answer questions and go through Reddit threads or some bullshit. So I was put so okay, so a long time ago, I didn't even remember what happened. I think I was reviewing like a Charlie Kirk debate. I think Hassan was streaming and he saw my stream and we started chatting, going over that debate. Um I think in the beginning, that's kind of how we started talking. And for the most part, like in real life, I think Hassan is cool. I don't think there's got any problems. And like a person, Hassan is cool. I don't think he has any problems. But with the way that we kind of like, the way that we structure our arguments and the way that we like approach like debate or forming ideas or whatever is monumentally different. So in the beginning,
all commies are treacherous. Look what happened to Trotsky.
so in the beginning, I kind of thought like, okay, well, you know, I've been doing like debate and all this shit for so fucking long. You know, I generally I don't expect everybody to like match like the most intense fucking online rigor of, you know, debate master craft, blah blah blah, you know. So you know, I'm usually like pretty chill when I talk politics or when I make political friends, because it's really rare to make friends that are into politics. For me, like, 'cause politics are fucking bored, right? And so I figure like, okay, cool, like this is cool, you know, maybe Assad will pick up better arguments. I'll start going to the gym again. We can learn from each other, get beautiful friendship, some bullshit, or whatever. I started to notice early on though that I think that me and Hassan form ideas in dramatically different ways. In dramatically different ways. The first time I noticed this, the first time there were always these kind of indications just in the way that he kind of like spoke. But the first time I really noticed this was the argument that he did, and it had to do with reporting early about the shooting, the white person that shot the black person, and calling it a hate crime initially, when it ended up being like just like a random like a random shot that killed a kid.
Trihex uses booty judge as well and said it wasn't homophobic today in.
Okay, I don't remember. That conversation, I know that I like, people always say that I'm super harsh on Hassan. It's really funny. People say like when I deal with conservatives, I'm very nice, but when I deal with the left, I'm super ruthless. I was actually so gentle with Hassan during that conversation, but I actually disagreed so much. It actually made me insanely like reconsider the way that he puts together ideas after that conversation. And basically the idea was, my principle in terms of like principles, I don't think speculating on breaking news when you could like form a narrative that could be harmful to a minority or harmful to any group of people, I don't think that's good, especially around breaking news stories. I don't think that's a good thing to do. And basically, there was a story where Hassan had just completely speculated, claiming that some white person killed a black person, it was a hate crime, and then later it came out that it was like, I think like it was a stray bullet or something that killed a kid. And it was like, dude, like, you see it. I kind of thought, my vision, how that conversation would go, was that Hassan would be like, yeah, that's pretty harmful, I probably shouldn't do that, I won't do it in the future. But oh my god, he absolutely would never back down from that point. And one of the things that I noticed going forward from, I think even at that point, our fan bases had like hardcore intermingled. Something that was really awkward. I don't expect most of you to agree with me on this. I don't know if it's going to be 50-50 or what. I don't really give a fuck at this point. But one thing that kind of got really awkward was that as our fan bases like hardcore intermingled, I noticed that Hassan is literally like an ideologue. That is like the entirety of what he does. That he has like a political ideology, and every single thing he sees will be crunched or smushed to fit into that kind of like ideological basket. There is no like rigorous thought process. There is no actual argumentation. There is no, basically, like, it sounds really shit to say, and I don't know, it's whatever it is. But like Rem was like 100% correct in terms of like, this is somebody that has like a certain political agenda, and then they push that political agenda to the max. This is like the exact opposite of everything I've ever wanted to be in my entire life. It is so far removed from anything I've ever wanted to do. But I'm stuck in this insanely fucking awkward spot where, one, I'm real life friends with him, which I am. I like Hassan, and I still do. I don't think he's a bad person. I don't hate him or anything like that. But now our fan bases are intermingled. People were taking quotes earlier where I said like, oh, like now I'm bleeding off fans of Hassan that are beginning to think that we're similar because we have the same conclusions. I'm not mad that Hassan is getting bigger popular. I mean, I hope he does get bigger popular. I wish him all the success in the world. I think that's great. What was frustrating was that now we had these intermingled fan bases that thought that we had the same.
Your Discord is the same way, no joke.
Thanks. I was getting irritated that we had these intermingled fan bases that thought that me and him were on the same page with these issues. We're not at all. No one thinks you're similar to Hassan, no one. But they did. A lot of people did. And that's why we started to have the huge fight. Wait, was that $100 or was that $10? Oh, no, it's $10. Well, still, thank you, though. I appreciate it. But, like, wait, F? Why are we Fing? Are we Fing? Wait, I don't even see anything. Save. Oh, okay. So like, one of the ways, there are so many different points we could talk about, but I don't care. I'm not trying to like do like some huge like, oh, these are all the ways Hassan is horrible or evil, blah blah blah. I just think that Hassan is like a very ideologically driven person, and this isn't even necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I would argue it's a bad thing, but I mean, not everybody agrees with things. Like, I like to do argument and debate to figure out like the veracity of my points. Some people have like an ideology and they just kind of fit everything to that, and that's it. And like, it's very frustrating that like our fan bases, like, I agree with him being an ideologue, but you should have told him earlier. Now it feels like burning bridges. Well, the problem is that like, and I'm going to try to like have, so I brought this conversation topic up over the past few days because I've been thinking about this a lot. I actually kind of, okay, I'm not going to lie. I saw this coming. I saw this split coming. I saw it today coming. I think 2 or 3 or 4 weeks ago, when we had a conversation topic about Biden. I made comments about how I was worried that like Bernie bro people will do this thing where they'll pick and destroy other candidates and then pretend that everybody else sees them as these horrible, evil people, when one, the things they're saying might not even necessarily be true, and two, the electorate won't necessarily see them that way. And when I said that, everybody fucking got mad at me. Everybody got mad at me for saying that. They said that I was devaluing Hassan's position, that I wasn't respecting all the political investigative journalism that he put in, that I was totally out of my league, that I don't even stand close to him on these like policy debates, that this is his job, blah, blah. And I noticed everybody got mad. I was like, oh, wow, okay, fine, fuck, I fucked up, I guess, you know. I looked into the 2 Biden points he brought up. I thought both were bullshit. But you know what? Like, okay, sure, maybe that was my fault. So at that point, what I had known would happen, I thought it could go one of 2 ways. At that point, I said, okay, well, I'm actually going to do at some point, I'm going to do like a critical review of a whole Hassan video, and I'm going to see what I come away thinking, and then I wonder how people are going to react to that. And when I was flying from France to Sweden, I saw that video pop on my recommended feed, and I was like, hey, it's a perfect opportunity. I'm going to do a full review of this video, and let's see how people react. I'm going to research the articles. I put together a little Google Keep sheet. I try to get the information on every issue being presented, and then let's see how that conversation goes. It's either going to end up with both of us kind of coming to like an awkward agreement that some of the things need to be rephrased. I don't expect him to fully concede every point, of course, or he's going to be 100% resistant on every single fucking point, because he's an ideologue. Who is really
Harris Warren 2020 or Warren Harris 2020 Hypergin 0,
who's really like only interested in pushing like, it's like Bernie for life. It's like ride or die for Bernie, Bernie or bust or whatever. And I've never like been this strong at what I've said about Hassan because I don't know. It's just like whatever drama. But I really do believe that maybe it's all of the young Turks. Maybe because like Maybe because some of the people from the Bernie campaign joined that Justice Democrats or Justice whatever the fuck that group, the pact that they formed, that the Young Turks are involved in, that all like had the ex-Bernie staffers there. I don't know if that's conspiracy or not. But one of the things that I noticed about some of the videos that were being published, I don't remember if somebody emailed me this or somebody DM'd me this, was that I looked at some of the videos that Hassan made, and one of the things I noticed is that like that Kamala Harris video came out to shit relentlessly on her, like right after she got a big bump in the polls. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then I went back and I looked at that Pete Buttigieg video, and I was like, I wonder if there was like a poll movement there. And I went and I looked back and I was like, oh, he went from less than 1 point to like 6 points in the polls. And then he made a huge attack hit piece on Buttigieg. I was like, oh, we're basically like protecting Bernie. Like that's what's going on. I don't think it's a grand conspiracy. Maybe like when, a lot of people were criticizing like, oh, well, of course, when people get popular, of course you're going to make a video about them, which to some extent is true. But when anybody gets a little bit popular besides your candidate, and then you make a hit piece video on them, man, that's like, it feels bad. I know a lot of you aren't going to agree with me on this. I don't give a fuck. That's fine. We're totally different people. And that's okay. You can do things the way that you want to do things. That's fine. But when on my stream, when I wanted to investigate the Democratic candidates, what I did was I grabbed the polling data for the top 4 people, and I was like, hey, let's go investigate all the positions of these people because I'm kind of curious about them, right? We never actually finished it. But like that was my approach to doing it, right? But the Young Turks approach, or the Hasanabi approach, is let's find out who just got a bump in the polls, and let's make a hit piece video on them full of bullshit. That's exactly what the methodology was. And I don't know. I don't know if like, I don't know. It feels really weird. It feels kind of bad. But I even had somebody link me. Some shit, and I haven't even spent time like investigating like all of his stances on everything. But I had somebody shoot me this DM earlier, where Hassan is even stating that like voting, and maybe I shouldn't say this because I haven't seen like the full.
It's all about Marianne Williamson, fam. All love, ye.
I haven't even seen the full context of this video, so
like,
maybe
I just want to give people.
Maybe the full context would change it, but
the same shit that you guys. Like, I just want to give people the same shit that you guys want to give people in the short term. And then maybe we can discuss what could be done to better everyone's lives in the long term. Fuck.
Wait, that's not it. Hold on. It's a little bit further
I'm losing
back.
faith. Please go into the other thread. Falcom out. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's not that liberals don't want to go further. They realize the political reality on the ground. Dude. Oh my God. There's no magical combination of words that's going to make rural USA turn into socialism. I don't care. I don't care about some fucking like Iowa farmer who's going to magically become fucking socialist overnight and start reading theory and liberate like third world countries. Okay. I'm not one of those kinds of tankies. Okay. I just want moderate social democratic fucking reforms. God damn it, dude. And I'm telling you over and over again that it's not going to happen with Kamala Harris, and it's not going to happen with even Elizabeth Warren. God.
Even the random digs at Elizabeth Warren. Damn. And like, I don't watch enough of his stuff to know like truly like what his positions are, but it's like, holy shit. Like, it's Bernie or bust. Like, this is it. And I kind of feel like a dumb fuck because I haven't like kept up enough to like see to see what all of the positions are exactly, mainly because I don't want to like fucking sit here and like drill in on like somebody that I consider a friend over and over again. But god damn, like yeah, I don't know if it's poll envy, maybe because Warren was starting to poll higher after the debates too, if that's like the signal. What's the problem with that though? What's the problem with a Bernie or bust position? Well, when all of the videos that you make like attacking like other people are like full of like half-truths or huge misrepresentations or unfair characterizations of people's arguments, and you're doing it all to like protect your candidate, that your organization has a PAC that's like headed by ex-staffers. I mean, I don't know. I think it looks really bad. But Destiny, do you really think anyone else has a chance versus Trump? Aren't like all of the Democratic candidates, even Biden, polling positively versus Trump? Is there any Democratic frontrunner, or not frontrunner, but like high poller that's like losing to Trump? What do you mean? The Chapo boys also look down on Elizabeth Warren. Biden polls above 10%. Everyone else is within 3. Are you gonna be consistent and actually go after Hassan like you do others, or just still get a free press? I mean, I don't want to sit here and like fucking drill in. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to like all of this is irrelevant. I'm just trying to like illustrate like how awkward a position I've been in, where like over the past like 6 to whatever months, like everybody is like saying that like me and Hassan are like the best like political duo online, and it's like this is somebody that is like so dogmatically different than the way that I approach these things. Like it is like it's such a difference in how we approach things, and I'm being bundled in with it, and it's like such a hard thing to do. Like my whole life is arguing with people online. That's what I do. That's what I excel at. That's what I enjoy. I'm the kid that likes to go into the room with the fucking Legos and start at the very bottom and fucking build it from the ground up, because that's what I enjoy. Somewhat autistic. I don't mean that as an insult. It's what I enjoy doing.
Momo is polling higher than Trump too.
Nice. And it's the way that it's just the way that I like doing things. I like talking about philosophy for fucking 8-hour streams so that I feel like my opinions on politics can be a little bit more consistent and a little bit more reformed or informed. I don't know. That's fun for me. I think that when I get bundled in with somebody like when I get bundled in with Hassan as being the same thing, it puts me in this really weird spot where like I might like, for instance, like I have to do a debate with him where he's like alongside me debating like Fuentes or Sargon of Akkad, or like I have to like stand in to like represent his points of view on like the Raj Patel show, and it's like it's very clear that the way that we approach things are dramatically different. And I'm not saying he's stupid or dumb or anything like that. I know it sounds like, but that's what I'm saying. Like Hassan is good at like preaching to the choir. Like here's the political message that I got from these people, and I'm gonna put it out in like a really funny way on like a YouTube or a Facebook video. And like that's like what Hassan excels at. That's what he does well. It's not at all what I'm interested in. And somehow I got grouped in with that. That's like the thing that now like we're like the same. And it's like, no, we're totally different in the way that we approach things. And like anytime I try to have like, I know this sounds really mean, but like every time I've had a conversation with Hassan, I think I've been like pretty respectful and pretty decent at like not going fucking insane. Like there's a million, and I think I know most of the frequent ad homs that get thrown at Hassan. You know, it's nepotism, you're just Cheng's nephew. I've never used that in an argument against Hassan before. He's a frat boy trying to sound smart. I've seen that one. I've never used that against Hassan before. There was one other one too, but I don't remember it. I never even said the morally lucky thing until now. I'm not even really saying it now, but like Destiny, not going to say sure, but you were never decent in discussions, Limfeo. So here's what I'm going to say, and I actually went back and I watched a fair amount of stuff today. If you think that I am extra harsh to Hassan when I'm having political discussions, I am telling you right now that you have an extreme bias, and that you need to go back and watch my conversations with him and then compare that to conversations that I have with conservatives, and take an honest look at both of those conversations. And if you do a little bit of self-reflection, you will absolutely see how completely biased you are towards one party. It is insane how patient I am, okay, when I'm having a discussion with Hassan. And the frustrating part is that like, and I think that like maybe like the straw that broke the camel's back was that like in our past discussion, like first of all, I didn't even want to fucking go hard. All I said was I wanted to like go over this video because I disagreed with pretty much everything. That was in this video. And like by the end of our discussion, I don't think I ad hommed him a single time. You could argue that by saying he was arguing like a race realist, that was an ad hom. It was kind of inflammatory, sure. It was true. But like at the end of that discussion, I literally had every single like Kiwi Farms, poll thread, Stefan Molyneux fan argument thrown at me. That I am a clever debater, that I talk fast, that I'm the Ben Shapiro of the left. Like everything I'd ever heard. And it's like, what the fuck? And then we started to get all these tweets. Destiny, X Skills Me was more charitable towards you. X Skills Me was a decent interlocutor. A little slimy at times, though. Then we start getting these tweets where it's like, oh God, what was it? Oh fuck, I lost my train of thought reading that. Oh yeah, then we get, it's like all the same things that people say, like, oh well, this is just a debate on semantics. Nothing that we talked about had anything to do with semantics. None of our our conversations were rooted in like pretty real hypotheticals. Like everything had a pretty, like, we can go back. I think I told Hassan, I mean, I don't expect him to do it, mainly because I know that it would be like a lost cause. But like we can go back and we can watch that debate. There's not a single hypothetical I used that was unfair. There's not a single like example I used that was too extreme. Like I think everything was like pretty reasonable and matched up pretty well. Most of my examples were in response to things that he said. Like apparently we got really mad about the women walking down the alley, but that was only because that was only in response to Hassan saying that, like, oh well, I don't know if you should ever call the cops. And it's like, okay, well, really? Yeah, not semantics necessarily, more pedantry. So like I've noticed this thing, and so I'm going to explain something that people do. I'm not going to put a value behind it. I mean, obviously I think one way. But I noticed, and this is like something that I really noticed with the race realists, and that's why I kept making this comparison. Somebody has like an overall view of something, and then they have all of these little underlying facts to support it. And then we're like, okay, hey, let's have a debate about these underlying facts. Let's see if they support your broader conclusion. What some people do is they don't really care about the underlying facts. They have this like broader idea and they kind of get like this collection of little things on the bottom. And then when you have an argument about them, you can really tell like, okay, did you start with the facts and then, oh, pedantry? Sorry, or pedantry? Pedantry? I don't know where the enunciation is. Do you start with the facts and then build your worldview? Or do you have a worldview and then you try to collect a little like smattering of facts that you think back it up? And one thing I noticed with the race field is like, oh, well, the heredity of IQ is blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, heredity doesn't necessarily imply genetic causality. Okay, well, still, blacks are really dumb compared. Okay, well, hold on, wait. Okay, well, why? Like, well, that thing failed. Well, there's a huge difference between IQ between one population and another. It's like, okay, heredity doesn't have anything to do with differences between groups, right? You know that, right? Like, even if a trait is highly heritable, even if it was genetically determined, the difference between groups isn't necessarily kind of right. Okay, sure, maybe not, but still, like, black people is like, whoa. Why do you keep retreating to the broader argument where we're going over the little pieces? Why do you keep? I don't understand why you keep going back to your broader argument where we're going through the little pieces to establish that, right? Yeah, and I notice that like for a lot of people, it starts to become clear that like you have this given argument. So for Hassan, it's like Kamala Harris is really bad. The reason why is probably because she was a cop, and anything associated with cops is evil to some people on the left, right? So Kamala Harris is bad because she's a cop. That's really the answer, right? And now we've got this kind of collection of little facts that maybe support it that we found on one Twitter thread where we didn't even read the links to see if it was true. We have this like Twitter thread with these random facts, and now we're going to come here and pretend that we have like this razor strong case against Kamala Harris. Like, okay, well, let's go through these points one at a time because I think a lot of them are kind of bullshit. And then when we do that, right, we can't substantiate a single one of these smaller claims. But then we keep retreating back like, oh, hold on, like Kamala Harris has this record of doing horrible things, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, wait, well, hold on, wait a second. We're trying to establish that record right now. And we can't do it, you know? Destiny, with the $200 point, his argument was that most of her money was from big donors. You were pedantic with that. He also said things like, when you're a hammer, everything starts looking like a nail. Okay, so like the donation thing might have been pedantic too. But that was more just like, I was kind of curious. I didn't know, like, firstly, I don't even think I brought that up because I don't really care. I don't really look at like who has donations from who to determine like who's like the people's candidate. But I will note two things in that conversation. One that is just like, one that's like, hold on.
Is the point of primaries not to establish one candidate over the others? Why would people like Hassan not fight for their candidate to win? It would be different if he was engaging this way after the primaries had been decided.
I don't know. Maybe people are different. When I think of the candidate that I want to win, when I think of like Bernie or Warren, I think I want them because they have the best record in terms of their voting, because they have the best policy positions. I don't feel the need to go through every other Democratic candidate and try to tear them down as much as possible. That sounds like some partisan hackery. But that's, I mean, like, I don't know. That's how I view things. I understand like different people might view things in different ways. But oh fuck, what was I talking about before that donation? Fuck, I should have skipped it and kept going. Fuck.
The real crime is pronouncing her name Kamala instead of Kamala like her Indian heritage might suggest. Fucking monolingual uncultured Americans.
Didn't look up threads from the Twitter thread. Oh, the $200 donation things. Oh yeah, I didn't care one way about the $200 donations or not. I didn't think the idea that like, well, X percentage comes from donations. Like, okay, well, first of all, I don't even know if that's necessarily true. Like, we need like a little bit more information, which was true, and Hassan didn't have that information. But I was curious about that. But then two, and this is kind of the thing that like sold it as like a kind of a bad faith, like uninformed argument to me, is that someone in my chat pointed out that like 8,000 donors for Bernie had maxed out their contributions. And as soon as and maybe I'm mischaracterizing this, somebody can go find the clip or whatever. As soon as I brought that point up, Hassan instantly switched from, well, Kamala Harris has all these big donors supporting her, to, well, okay, maybe some big donors are supporting Bernie, but I mean, Bernie's got a lot of crazy fans. So of course, it's like, wait, what the fuck? Like, I don't know. So as soon as I was like, this is a bad faith argument. Like, you don't actually give a fuck about this. It's just you just thought this was a point for Bernie, and now that maybe it switches, now we're gonna be like, oh, well, Bernie just has a lot of crazy fans. Like, wait, okay, well, what the fuck? Then why are we fucking talking about this? But like, yeah, I didn't care about the donor stuff one way or another, really, that much. That being said, I think people went back and I think people actually dug through like all of the. How is that inconsistent? Well, because initially we were making it sound like all the big donors supporting Kamala was like made it look like it was bad that she was getting like bigger money. But then once I brought up that, well, hold on, there's a lot of big donors supporting Bernie. It's like, oh, well, they're just supporting Bernie because they're crazy. It's like, well, wait, what the fuck? Why can't the same be true for Kamala? Like, that's kind of weird. So I was like, but I mean, I'm sorry. People did go through the donor data, and it does look like Bernie does have more like grassroots ground support for lower donors. You can go and look at those threads with like all the numbers like graphed out in terms of like the number of contributors and where the money comes from. So I mean, like, it does seem that it is true that Bernie does have smaller donors, and like most of Kamala's money, and like she has like a larger chunk of like wealthy people that donate to her because they max out their campaign contributions. Now that could also just be because Bernie is a lot more popular too. And the more popular or maybe the lower pool base grows, maybe Kamala gets more bigger donations to the DA and like legal people. I don't know, but that does seem to be true. You can look at the Twitter the Reddit thread on that. I feel like he went a bit too deep into testing his axiomatic principles when he doesn't understand it as much. I think Hassan is a consequentialist at heart. The point of the DA convo was that there were other options besides force that works for kids.
I heard your interview on NPR and just wanted to say how awesome it is to witness your growth as a streamer, debater, and person.
Thanks. So let me play out how the entire conversation should have went. So like the disappointing thing about the conversation about like using police to like using the DA to whatever do anything is we didn't actually even get to have the whole conversation. Like we couldn't even get to the conversation because we were so incapable of moving past like answering any hypotheticals, because it was pretty clear that I don't think Hassan has thought about any of these fundamental positions at all, right? The idea of like as soon as he said like you should, I think somebody get me wrong, but I think he said you should never call the cops. I'm pretty sure he said that in that conversation, right? Like the fact that he was like completely incapable of like engaging past when he said that. Yeah, he did say that. Yeah, after he said that, I was like, hold on, you should never call the cops. I could spin up a couple hypotheticals right now. I would be shocked if you would hold that position, right? Woman gets raped, wants to go contact the police force. Like, are we really gonna say you should never call the cops, right? But we couldn't even get to that. We couldn't even get past that. Somebody donated and said he noticed that a lot of the problems with debates comes from people that can't or don't want to get a core moral conflict or general worldview sorted out before tackling the issue itself. Oh, I've noticed. Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah, for sure. And Skip'em just donated subs. Thanks, buddy. So like people in the subreddit, in my subreddit, were bringing up, well, actually, hold on, Destiny. There's a difference between okay, hold on. People are bringing up arguments that are decent arguments, but like we could have addressed them, but we never got that far. Destiny, he literally walked that back, but you can't let it go. He wanted to talk about the consequentialist part, but he can't because he doesn't understand consequentialism, right? It was clear that he didn't understand consequentialism because he was saying, well, let's say we use cops to force, his examples was, let's say we use cops to force parents to send kids to school. That's the same as like throwing drug users in jail, right? Now look at that. Look at those consequences. Wait a second. Consequentialism is about looking at positive versus negative outcomes. You're giving me negative outcomes and using that to disprove a consequence where I give you a positive outcome. This is not an understanding of consequentialism. Like, yeah, I don't know. Destiny, those viral Twitter threads about Pete and Kamala are both disingenuous as fuck, and it makes sense why Hassan's videos are so fucking wrong if you just copy the tweet's talking points. The Pete one is full of quotes from actual conservatives like the Blaze journalists and fucking police union lawyers, not exactly people Hassan would be fans with if they didn't affirm his anti-Pete or anti-Kamala talking points. Oh yeah, sure, maybe. I started clicking through some of the links on that Kamala thread, and holy fuck, oh my god. He also never stated that it was the school's fault, but Destiny pushed him on it, so he admitted he thinks the cops should not report the crime, but they think, well, because Hassan was saying it was the school's fault, that if you have an officer at your school, a resource officer, whatever, that you shouldn't cooperate with authorities. Remember, that was his quote. You shouldn't cooperate with authorities. Like, Destiny, Hassan argued both sanctuary cities are good because immigrants should be able to report crimes to the police, but also you should never call the cops. Yeah, I don't even know. Like I said, I don't think he has a coherent position on that. Actually, I know he doesn't have a coherent position at all, and it's really obvious. And it's like, it's frustrating to me because, and this is where I go back to like becoming a useful idiot to the left. When I do this to conservatives, like, remember I had that quote and all of you lolled along and agreed with me. I always say, like, conservatives are always 2 questions away from utter collapse, because as soon as you ask them like 1 or 2 questions, like, well, how does this work or how does this work, they can't answer it. They totally fall apart. And like, if I'm gonna have a conversation with somebody that like legit is saying like you should never call the cops, it's like, hold on, that's an extreme position. Like, let's tease out your actual position. Like, we can build you a better position by asking some questions, right? Do you think a woman being raped should call the cops? Yes? Okay, cool. So some people can call the cops. You don't actually believe, right? I'm trying to help him build a better argument, but he's like so incensed at even the questions that they become insane hypotheticals. It's like, well, no, it's not an insane hypothetical. You said never call a cop. So let's find out when we can call the cops, right? Because there are tons of arguments you can make. Maybe you argue a school shouldn't have to call the cops, but an individual can. Oh, okay. Well, that's an argument. We can go down that tree, right? And now you've made a reason, right, for individuals to be able to do it, but institutions or maybe can't. That's another argument we can run down, right? But why did you cut him slack for so long and suddenly turn on him? That's your fault. Well, because he started going crazy on me. He started getting like, I don't know, like, he argues with me like a huge fucking piece of shit when I'm being so fucking gentle. I'm being so nice. And I know that, like, a lot of you guys can't see it because you like both of us or because you like Hassan more than me and that you like his conclusions. But, like, if any alt-righter or any conservative were using the same types of arguments he was, I would be fucking lambasting these people. I would be digging so hard into these arguments because they're so bad. They were so bad. And, like, the idea that like, and I let so much slide, and I like get gish out like so fucking hard. Like, he's talking. Somebody made a clip where he's talking for like 2 fucking minutes over me, and it's like, what the fuck? But yeah, I don't know.
Holy shit, I never realized how cancer the far left is. This recent debacle has opened my eyes.
Oh yeah.
Love you, buddy.
It tells a lot when your mom tweeted out Hassan's video like it was another hit piece on a Democrat. Yeah.
You butterfly all my squads who can hyperextend their legs and become reverse joint pimps.
She did. Yeah, my mom did tweet it. Yeah. Yeah, so like here's where all the bad faith arguments start to creep in, and I'm so like tired of even trying to explain
Can
it.
you two just get in a call and screech at each other already? You're blue balling chat. Badly.
Hold on.
I personally like Kamala, not my number 1 by any means, but up there. What would you say is the most legitimate complaint to be lodged against her?
The most legitimate complaint to be lodged against her? The laws concerning illegal immigrants that we're kind of talking about right now are pretty bad. Those are pretty bad, I think. There's probably more. I haven't dug into it that much, to be honest. So hold on, this comment. Your argument defending the whole cops enforcing attendance strategy is so revealing because the closest approximate system where you manage a non-violent socioeconomic problem with state violence, psychological trauma, and terror is fascism, LMAO, right down to disproportionate targeting of minorities. So like, I don't know if you're incapable. I don't know if this is like a I don't know if it's an IQ thing, or I don't know if it's like a fucking blind with fucking bias or rage thing, but like my position has never been that the best way to solve crime problems is to use police to scare kids into going to school. That's never been my position. That will never be my position. Like, I don't think that's a good position. The point that I was trying to make was that, and this is why I use the hypothetical, let's say you've got a city full of kids that are starving to death, okay, and the city is failing in addressing that problem. Would you send in the police to take the kids from the parents, or would you let the kids starve to death? In that hypothetical. And Hassan answered that hypothetical multiple times saying, oh, I'd let them starve to death. Like, okay. Because the analogy is, Kamala Harris has a problem where kids are not attending school, and a lot of them are ending up on gangs, and a lot of them are ending up fucking dead on the street, right? The city is not fixing the problem. The state's not fixing the problem. Nobody's doing anything about truancy. So Kamala, using the resources that she has, decides that she's going to try to push people to truancy using the police force, which as the DA is about all she can control. Now, did I say that that's the best way to address the problem? No. Did I say that this is how we should look to address the problem in the future? No. What I am saying is that if you have one way of solving a problem or fixing a problem because the other systems around you have failed, I think it's a sign of a good leader to do what you can to help a problem. Now, we can argue, like, is it an effective way to solve the problem? It seems like it was. Attendance was boosted by 20%. We can look at, like, the fallout or the consequences. It doesn't seem like there were all of these people fucking locked up about it. People have posted, like, 1 or 2 stories, I think, where supposedly some people went to jail. But for the most part, there aren't all these people that went to jail for it. Seems like attendance was boosted. It's definitely not the perfect way to solve the problem, but it seemed like an okay patch.
If Kamala Harris actually wants to solve any problems, she should stop being a DA and become a politician 5-head.
I can't tell if that's a joke or not, but that's why she's running for president. And why she was a senator, right? Yeah. So, I mean, that's the joke. I can't tell who's joking. We're in a post-irony world, boys. I don't know who's joking anymore. I'm sorry. I don't know, dudes. Yeah, I mean, like, there's a whole bunch of ways to, like, explore these positions, like, in terms of, like, did she do the right thing? But we never even got to that point. We couldn't get to that point in any part of the argument. There was a lot of interesting discussion to be had there. But, like I said, like, I'm pretty sure, like, Hassan's, like, guiding rail for that entire conversation was that Twitter thread, and diverting even slightly from, like, the stated talking points, like, from the marching orders, it was, like, impossible. It was, like, inconceivable, right? That's when I got called, Destiny Lee Peterson, that I was using absurd hypotheticals. I wasn't. Like, I'm super curious. We could challenge any hypothetical. If anybody wants to go through, and I thought my hypotheticals, like, I use a pretty criticism, like, sometimes these hypotheticals were pretty simple. They were pretty on point. They were, like, direct analogies for everything we were talking about, like, pretty exactly. Like, I'm super curious what, like an absurd hypothetical I was using for any of these points were. Like, it just seemed more like, and it was more like I saw, like, the problem was the same thing I run into when I debate conservatives, which is when you force them to actually reconsider their positions, and they run into areas where it's like, oh, fuck, hold on, I actually don't have a good answer here, or, oh, fuck, like, this is actually, like, pretty hypocritical. Like, the brain shuts down, and all of a sudden, like, you're using debate tactics, you're using dirty strategies, you're tricking me, you're trapping me with hypotheticals, you're just the bench pro of the left. Like, wait, really? Like, can you name a single? What's a bad hypothetical I did? Like, what's, like, a bad, like, I don't know. Destiny, you know, the woman about to get raped being the same as a school reporting a child for a misdemeanor was a pretty bad analogy. Well, the woman getting raped, okay, it's, I don't know what to tell you. It's perfectly legitimate. If somebody tells me you should never call the cops, right, which is what he said verbatim, then of course I'm going to test that with an extreme hypothesis. If somebody says you should never call the cops, I'm not going to ask, oh yeah? Well, what about if somebody should get a parking ticket? Should you call the cops then? Of course I'm not going to test it that way. I'm going to test it using like a scenario where I think you should really call the cops. If somebody's breaking into your shed in the backyard, somebody's breaking into your house, if somebody's like raping you, or it seems like somebody might rape you, right? These are scenarios where I think you should call the cops. If you think that Destiny, the hypothetical where no one else is doing anything about children starving, should we then call the cops? This isn't happening. Wait, hold on. Sorry, my camera just glitched. Except, that's exactly what was happening. Except, okay, so my hypothetical was, you have children starving. Other departments aren't doing anything about that. If you can fix it with the police, should you? Okay? The analogy is, there are kids that aren't going to school because of truancy. Other departments aren't doing anything about it. Can you use police to fix the problem? Do you not see how that's literally like a 1-to-1. Well, we can draw like a chart or like a picture if you need me to, but that's like a 1-to-1 analogy. Like what the fuck? You assume the police fix the problem, right? Yeah, of course. If the police don't fix the problem,
to fix your hairline, Pepperlaw.
If the police don't fix the problem, then yeah, of course it's a bad idea. But it seems like attendance was boosted, right?
Finally, some good debate memes. Who knew it would be Daddy Hassan?
So like people keep saying this, Destiny, you can't look at the problem in a vacuum. Harris has more responsibilities and more agencies have that responsibility. Like, why are you so keen to pass the buck? If Harris thinks that she can fix a problem, not in the best way possible, but if other agencies are slacking, why wouldn't she try to fix that problem? I don't understand this idea. It's like such an anti-leadership, anything idea. It's so weird. Destiny, that ignores every other agency that has the same mandate. Those agencies should be doing something too. But if they're not, why wouldn't you use the power that you have available to yourself to make the city a better place if you think you can do it? Hassan seems to believe that it is morally acceptable to allow someone else to call the police, but wouldn't personally do it. Can you go into why this argument is invalid? Because you're avoiding answering it by being a weasel. It's kind of like when you say train. So train, you don't think cosplayers should ever cosplay like sexually suggestive stuff? And he's like, it's not that I don't think they should. It's just my opinion that they shouldn't. It's not that I'm saying they shouldn't. It's just my opinion that they shouldn't. What the fuck does that mean? Everything you say is your opinion. Why would you say it's your opinion that it's your opinion? The fact that you're saying it means your opinion. What do you mean? Like it's the same. It's like a train wreck segment. So I'm like, Hassan, should like if somebody feels vulnerable in an alley, call the police on somebody if she feels threatened? I mean, I wouldn't. That's not the question at all. What are you talking about? Like, wait, what? I'm sorry, what did I just get? Hassan is stuck in that idiotic space where he believes that the leftist critique of capitalism is supposed to derive policy that somehow has to work within the system being criticized. Oh, maybe, I don't know. I think you would gain a lot by not going to the extreme with your hypotheticals, even though most of them are legitimate. People will call it bad because they can't understand the similarities. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I noticed that. Where, like, it feels like, I don't know. Should the military solve the truancy problem if nobody else is? I mean, if they find an effective way to do it, fucking sure, dude, fuck. Like educate, and again, it's such a weird. If it was anybody but the cops, I feel like people would be feeling differently about this. But because we've all got this this all cops are bastards mentality, it's like everything is like so fucked. Like people going to school is really fucking important. It gets you off the streets, gives you a better chance of succeeding in education. Not getting arrested because of how fucked our criminal justice system is, not getting arrested and going to school are literally two of the most important things you can do to not have a fucked up life. I would be in favor of almost any policy that gets kids off the street and gets them going to school. Like, I would be in favor of almost extreme policies in that direction, because that's the type of shit that breaks cycles of poverty as much as anything else can.
And haven't checked in for a while.
Hypothetically, do you think the kids of the parents who got arrested had a better life? I don't know. I think it's probably a 50-50 shot, or probably. If your parents are like letting you not, here's like another really weird thing. I don't understand this because all the Europeans came in and agreed with me. I don't know if they're sleeping now or not, but like this idea that like your kid can just not go to school, that's child abuse. I don't know how you could disagree with that. Like, and like there were multiple Europeans that were like, oh yeah, like yeah, in Europe you're not allowed to just not let your kid go to school. What the fuck? And that's true in America too. We have in America, your kid has to go to school. If you let your kid just not go to school, that's a form of child abuse. Like, and the fact that people are disagreeing with me, or Hassan was like disagreeing with me on this, like, oh well, they can't get their kid to school. Like, would you make that same argument? Like, oh well, they just don't have the money to feed their kid, and now you're gonna go in and send CPS to take their kid away? You're disproportionately targeting minorities. Minorities are the most likely not to be able to feed their kids, and you're gonna go take their kids away because they can't feed them? Yeah, what the fuck? Like, does it suck for the parents? Maybe. Does it suck for the kids? Maybe. But like, not feeding your kids is fucking child abuse. Not sending your kid to school, not getting your kid to school is fucking child abuse. You're failing as a fucking parent. Now, there might be good reasons why you're failing, maybe, I guess, but like the fact of the matter remains that like your kid has to fucking go to school. Just like your kid has to fucking eat. Like, what the fuck? Destiny, where I live in the UK, parents are fined and it is illegal for children not going to school. It's like that in most of the US. In most of the US, you get in trouble if your kids don't go to school. Like, truancy is illegal in the US. Destiny, you are crazy if you think these mothers or fathers were just not letting their kids go to school. But sure, let's lock the mothers up. Come on, man. The idea was that maybe if they got a little bit of a push from somebody more scary, like a police officer, maybe the parents would be more motivated in taking advantage of school resources to make sure their kids get to school. That was the concept of the legislation. Now, whether or not it actually worked or didn't work, I mean, Kamala said it worked. Maybe she's lying. I don't know. Maybe we should go look up independent numbers. But can you not take the children without jailing the mothers, though? If your kid ends up going to school, nobody gets fucking jailed. Why are you saying, like, oh, now we jailed the mother and now the kid is going to school? How does it work now? The kid's going to school with his parents in jail. No, if the kid goes to school, the parents don't go to jail. What the fuck? Oh my god. And now someone in chat is doing the alt-right argument. This is what I accused Hassan of doing earlier. Harris is claiming to be a progressive, but her track record shows she simply is not. That's the point of Hassan's video, and I think it makes a good case for it even with your corrections. Wait, but we're going over the minor corrections. You can't be wrong on every single minor point and then go back to your major point. You can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. We're trying to build your case. You can't be wrong on every single premise and then say, okay, fuck the premises. Let's just focus on the conclusion. No, we're building your conclusion. You're failing. Stop. Destiny, most African Americans agree with your position because they support Clinton and Joe Biden overwhelmingly. I come to accept that Americans are actually brain damaged. In the Netherlands, your parents will get fines and the like for their kids not going to school. I had to do community service because I skipped too much. The next step would have been fines. And who shows up if you don't pay your fines? Probably the police. These people don't seem to understand that the parents would never see a prison if they were taking active steps to the school and police are trying to... Yeah, I don't know. No one seems to acknowledge that excused absences were allowed. Yeah, they were. I don't understand why, like, everybody keeps giving this framing too. Destiny doesn't understand why truancy happens. It's not because of lazy parents. And it's dishonest by painting a hypothetical narrative of Harris's scenario instead of the real scenario in a way in which Harris's policy implemented views. Okay, well then why... Okay, super bad. Why did attendance rates boost 20% when they implemented this policy? What happened? Those are her numbers you didn't fact check. Okay, well then say that. Then say her numbers were fake, I guess. I feel like Hassan might have been a bit out of step in this debate/video, but I don't think it's fair to devalue everything. He has a lot of good points and insight. I feel like, don't you have common views on a lot of policy views for the same reasons? No. My reasons for the things that I believe, like, are rooted way far back in fucking ethics. That's how I get to my positions. I don't read a Twitter thread to like inherit my positions on a candidate, right? Like, I look for what do they believe in a particular thing, and then we'd make a decision based on our own personal ethics on how we believe about those things that they believe, right? So, for instance, like, I don't remember what we even looked up, but like Joe Biden's position on single-payer healthcare seemed bad. I want single-payer healthcare. I looked up what Joe Biden said about single-payer healthcare. I think he recently changed it because he got booted over to it. But like, that's how we make decisions. I don't find like, I don't like Joe Biden. I wonder if there's a hate thread on Joe Biden that we can read that says all these negative things about it. Like, Destiny, a slightly more charitable take on the first point would be Hassan misrepresented the bit about schools sending kids to ICE, but the bit about charged but not convicted is bad, so it's still strict against Kamala. Oh yeah, of course it is. So, like, referring people to ICE because they're charged with a crime instead of convicted with a crime, it's a fucking horrible policy. I absolutely agree. It's a horrible policy that Kamala Harris, not only did Kamala push that policy, she fucking lied about it. I think that's absolutely horrible, of course. However, that is still a far cry from Kamala Harris was having schools refer children to ICE. Like, it's a world of difference. We're just running in circles at this point. Can you go over a new topic, like your over Russell logs? I don't even know what I said. Oh, I don't know. I get I never ask. It feels stupid. So like I never say like, oh, I want credit for this. Because one, it sounds self-righteous as fuck, and two, because I don't really care. Like it's not like I get paid for getting credit for something. Like if you give me credit for some shit, I get like a check on the bank or some shit. It feels a little weird though sometimes. Like it's a little feels bad, man. I feel so stupid to complain about this because I don't give a fuck. But like it feels a little feels bad, man, when like articles are starting to write now that like, you know, oh, there are Twitch streamers that are building like a better political space on Twitch now. Like, oh, there are Twitch streamers that are building a better, you know, like, oh, blah, 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 blah. It's like, no. Like, I was the only person that did politics on Twitch for fucking years, right? And I did it in the face of like everybody on this fucking site hating me for it. Every other large streamer that I talked to, their chats would hate me. They themselves would hate me. Like, when I was talking politics, like, 2 years ago, in fucking Asmongold's chat, in Greek God X's chat, like, holy shit. Like, if anybody was around in those days, like, dude, I got massive fucking hate. I got massive fucking hate in all of these communities for talking politics. When I was on Raj's show, when I was on the Trainwrecks podcast, like, I got massive hate. Not only did I get massive hate for being in these communities, not only did I get relentlessly shit on fucking, on like all the fucking podcasts, on Livestream Fail, like, et cetera, even my own community was divided on it. Don't go on Trainwreck Show. Why would you go on that trash? You're making it more popular. You guys still argue about it to this day. Wait, what streamers hated you? The streamers didn't hate me, but their audiences fucking hated the fuck out of me. Yeah, the Venti conversation. Remember when I was talking to Brittany Venti and every other streamer in that conversation was more or less kind of agreeing with Venti until Asmongold came in and stepped in? Nobody disputes this. Why you bring this up? Is it about if you are better than Hassan now? It's not a matter of me being better, but it's a matter of like people that have come to Twitch after I've like worked like really hard to like, and I know it like sounds like a meme, but like I'm like the only person that brought politics to this platform a long time ago, and I think I'm largely responsible for some of the political shifts that have happened, at least in Livestream Fail, at least in some of the chats where I argue with people. And I think that I've been responsible for some measurable change. I don't know like what the percentage change is, but I'd like to think I've been responsible for some change. For people to come in and be like, oh, like what are you like? Who are you to criticize me? Like you just got into politics a few years ago. It's like what the fuck? How are you gonna sit here? How is Hassan going to accuse me of, like, you just got into politics a few years ago when you're fucking making 35-minute videos reading Twitter threads? What the fuck? Like, I'm not qualified to be here? Like, I created and cultivated this space that even exists on Twitch. Like, how are you going to tell me, like, I'm the new person, I'm the newcomer here? Like, what the fuck? I don't know. I guess, like, again, like, this is, like, one of those arguments where it's like I'm never gonna like publicly like defend this or say like I want credit or blah 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 because it sounds bad. It sounds like super ego driven. And honestly, at the end of the day, like I said, I don't really care. Like I don't get a check for get. Hassan never said that. Come on, Hassan. Wait, what? Hassan literally said. I don't know. Somebody could go find his tweet. I'm too lazy to find it. But now he says it was a meme. Now he's saying, well, he only said that to show me that. He only said that to show me how hurtful ad homs were. Yeah. Fuck, I don't know which tweet it was. You don't get an exact check, but don't pretend recognition will help you in the future. Well, I mean, but it does, right? Like, my Yang interview got canceled because of the BuzzFeed article about me. So, like, I don't know. Like, if people come to Twitch and all of a sudden other people are like, oh, it's really good. Like, thank God, you know, like Chapo Trap House and Hassan are here to make Twitch like a good place for politics. It's like, wait, what? Hassan tried to fix it for it. Yeah, he did stick up for me there. I'm not saying he didn't. But like, it feels a little bad, man. But it's whatever, dude. Which has not helped you with mainstream figures. I mean, people say that. Fuck, dude. I feel like such an asshole. But like, people are like, oh, Hassan got designated conversation with Michael Brooks, with Sam Cedar, with David Pacman. No. What? No. First of all, it was Dan's podcast guy that got me set up with Sam Cedar. Firstly. Secondly, I've had back and forths with Michael Brooks before, almost interviews in the past. Nothing has like been made there because of anything having to do with Hasan. It's because I got Ben on, that Ben Bridges guy or whatever on, to have the conversation. Then he went on to the Majority Report, I'm sorry. And then Michael started to reach out to me. Okay? That's where those two things came from. For David Pakman, I talked to David Pakman once before I even knew who his son was. I don't know if you guys don't remember that, but like, that didn't happen because of Hasan. Like, people are acting like I have like all these connections now because no, bullshit. This has been my work. Okay? This has been the work that I've put in to do my shit over the past few years. It's not like he came in and just like opened all these doors. But it's like, oh, cool. Like, oh, I have all these connections. Oh, thank God. Like, are you saying Hasan claimed it was him? No, I don't think Hasan has. It's more just fan bases doing it. But Destiny, he might not have created the connections, but he has done what he can to help, no? Yeah, he has. Hasan has done what he can to help. Hasan invited me to the to that Michael Brooks show that I never would have gone to otherwise, and introduced me to Anna and a couple other people. I'm not saying Hasan has like never gone out of his way to do anything for me. He absolutely has. I think he has. But it's a little annoying to read comments where like fans of some side are trying to like give him like all the credit for like the work I've been doing. Like it goes on with like, you know, like, oh, like these people are coming to Twitch to build like a safer space for politics, and oh, like, you know, they're helping him like make connections. Like, well, hold on, like what the
would
fuck?
you be able to watch and go over the Sean Carroll morality and rationality video on stream? Would be nice to see you critique his points.
Oh yeah, so Hasan made it like a big post on my subreddit where he talks about how I should deplatform or whatever. And it's like, oh, okay, like that, we're gonna make a big post. Like, okay, cool. Well, I can respond in text, and it might even be better in text because he can't gish gallop the fuck out of me. So, okay, let's get a big response in text. I make a big response in text. He doesn't respond. Not a single crickets. Literal crickets to my response to his
Destiny,
response.
have you considered Hasan is only lashing out because you have such a great hairline and he's jealous?
Nice meme. So he doesn't respond whatsoever to my post, so that's fine, whatever. But he does respond to other posts inside, including another one of mine, where he says, wait, what is this? Oh yeah, hey guys, we didn't know the kiddie concentration camps would get to this point either, except the insanely frustrating ad hom coming from a dude who got into politics over the past couple of years is accusing me of privilege, or at the very least lacking empathy over Trump's victims, when I, along with the TYT, have dedicated countless hours to investigative reporting and actual coverage on the conditions of these centers and immigration for years, even under fucking Barack Obama. Like, how are you going to throw the investigative... First of all, I have never ever attacked Hasan's connections.
Remember this guy. You'll know this guy.
I've never attacked Hasan's connections to the Young Turks. Why would you invoke them as a defense? Firstly. Secondly, for all this investigative like reporting and journalism we do, why are the videos on Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg, why are these videos based on fucking Twitter threads? Like... is that the investigative reporting? Like, do we get on Twitter every day and it's like, who's got the most convincing thread today that I can make a 35-minute video over? Like, what the fuck? Won't people say now that you're doing this for the boost/bigger temporary drama clout? Yeah, Hasan's audience is all saying it. But I mean, they always say like pretty fucking horrible shit about me. And then I don't know who in my subreddit is like a Hasan fan or not. It's hard to tell because he brigades the fuck out of every thread by going through it on stream. The same thing that Trainwrecks does, ironically enough. But I don't know. I mean, like, through everything, I mean, I'll still say, like, I think Hasan is a chill dude. I like hanging out with him in real life. Like, I'm friendly towards him. I tried to, like, ironically enough, I remember reading 2 comments on my subreddit a couple weeks ago where somebody was like, imagine Destiny ever having the balls to just apologize and to own up to his blah, blah, blah. This was back when I thought Hasan was in the wrong. Like, Destiny would never do it. I actually had the day before, on June 27th, this is when we kind of got into a quibble like a few weeks ago. I sent him a big thing on Discord. I sent him a message and I said, I think I don't really see you talk to your chat at all, so I just assume you never mention it, but I've had a ton of people tell me that you talk about it. This is in regards to people talking shit about me. I just don't ever see it, so I made some bad assumptions. That's on me, sorry. And yeah, I definitely see how I undermine/delegitimize a lot of what you say. I'll do a better job in the future addressing your points more honestly without letting the chat rile me up too much. I said that message with no provocation. And that's why when we did the Kamala Harris video yesterday, I watched the whole video. I didn't just take 1 or 2 points. I did a bunch of research. I had my little Google Keeps document together, and I thought we'd run it down point by point to see what would happen. And then I knew it would go either one of 2 ways. I don't see you talk to your shadow. LOL says a lot about how much you watch Hassan Destiny. Yeah, I don't watch streams at all. What do you mean? Do you think I've never lied about that? Do you see this recent development as you going more centrist, or is it just cleaning house and cutting ties to people's positions are unfounded or toxic? I mean, I'm not trying to clean house or anything. I'm not going centrist. I mean, like, I'm just doing the same shit I always do. It's really disappointing to me to see how many people like have like no principles on any of the arguments they believe in. Like, oh, I didn't even get into this, dude. This fucking take that like Asana started pushing this take too, where it's this combination of like this take where like I know that debates don't mean anything. It's all just for show, and all of it is dumb as fuck, and none of it matters. And this take where it's like, oh, well, it's fun when you debate people on the right, and it's good when you use your strategies against them, but when you do it on the left, it's horrible. It's like, wait, what the fuck? People actually believe that? Like, so I can be, and then to go further, it's like, oh, well, I always thought you did dirty debate tactics to people on the right, but when you do dirty debate tactics to people on the left, it's not good. Like, what? Somebody might be able to find a clip of him saying exactly that, but like, what the fuck? Are you referring to the post where it says it's okay to be bad faith? Oh, yeah, maybe it's this? Hold on. Thanks, Nim. Wait, that's not actually Nim, is it? Fuck.
I like it when you debate people on the right because they suck, but I hate it when you apply the same criticism to the left. Yes, unironically yes to this, okay? I'm thinking about the response to the fucking Destiny meme where he's like saying, I like it when you debate people on the right because they suck, but I hate it when you apply the same criticism to the left. I probably should have followed that up by saying, you know, debates are just purely for entertainment, and yes, you shouldn't you shouldn't do the same kind of shitty argumentative tactics that you apply to the right, which I applaud when you're trying to debate people on the left, which you agree with, because debates are all about rhetoric.
I don't know
and
if
not
you
about
can
substance.
tell, but the couch behind you is
I'm
slowly
thinking about
eating you, Slugstony.
Like, you're literally saying, like, I applaud you being a bad faith actor. Like, that's literally, like, this is literally an ideologue, right? This is what we're talking about. It's somebody that is pushing a political agenda that doesn't really give a fuck about what's right or wrong. Like, I don't know. Is this where you got the conspiracy thing from? I don't know. So this is what I read. Hassan is part of the Young Turks, which is part of Justice Democrat Network. Justice Democrats is an American progressive political action committee founded on January 23rd, 2017 by Kyle Kalinske of Secular Talk, Cenk, I don't know if I'm saying Uyghur of the Young Turks, and former leadership of the 2016 Bernie Sanders presidential campaign. On January 23rd, 2017, Cenk and Kyle Kalinske founded Justice Democrats with 10 others, including former staffers from the Bernie Sanders campaign, such as its director of organizing technology, Saket Chara, and MoveOn.org founder Zach Exley. According to the organization, they seek to create a left-wing populist movement to support alternative Democratic candidates beginning with the 2018 midterm elections in order to either defeat the incumbent Democrats or cause them to become accountable to their constituents. But after... Oh, it's Cenk, sorry. After I read this, I was curious. So after I read that, I was curious, and there might even be more. I got really lucky on this on a first search. After that, I looked up YouTube, and then I looked up Pete Hassan.
I end up cleaning carpets. I used to supervise in a restaurant.
Shut the fuck up, Pete Hassan Piker. And then I saw he made his video. He made his video about Pete on April 19th. I was like, oh, okay, so a crazy video shitting on Pete. By the way, this video is fucking horrible. Worse than the Kamala Harris one. When we saw this video on Pete, I was like, oh, I'm kind of curious now. I wonder if he made this video because Pete just had a boost in popularity and we need to like knock him down a peg. So after I saw this video was published on April 19th, I brought up the polling data for the Democrats, and I looked around April 19th. Oh, and lo and behold, Pete Buttigieg, I said that correctly, just had a huge spike in popularity. So that's where we're making a hit piece video on him. So it's like literally like any time a candidate like threatens Bernie or whatever, or is like getting the polls, it's like time to make a shitty hit piece video on him. I would be more generous here if these were like actually good videos, like investigating the candidate, but it's not. These videos are just like garbage. These are like garbage, like propaganda videos. That's exactly what these are. We can listen to this like real quick, I guess.
How many languages do you speak?
It depends what you mean by speak. So I've gotten pretty rusty in my Arabic and my Dari, which picked up Dari on my way to Afghanistan. I can still kind of read a newspaper in Norwegian, but only slowly.
Finally, an intellectual who's capable of forming coherent thoughts who will debate everyone into the ground. The living, breathing embodiment of an I am very smart post. Yes, today I'm talking about the candidate who captivates my college-educated white liberal friends, Pete Buttigieg. Pete Buttigieg? Booty check? Booty Judge? Okay, it's really hard to say this dude's last name. Now, Booty Judge has been the talk of the town, especially in DC media circles, as the wizard mayor from South Bend who can speak 7 languages, who fought in Afghanistan and is really super smart. I mean,
this isn't like a huge criticism, but man, dude, this feels like a huge anti-intellectual bent. Like, I can't, like, it feels like I'm listening to Trump, like, criticizing somebody for being smart. I don't understand that at all, but whatever.
I mean, have I mentioned he can speak like 7 languages?
Bonjour, je suis Pete Buttigieg de South Bend, Indiana.
But it's rather shocking to me that even in a post-Trump era, liberals would still rather live in an Aaron Sorkin TV show than face the cold hard reality that politics isn't about who's the rightest, brightest, or bestest. It's about distribution of power and wielding as much of it as you can by any means necessary. And you know what's definitely not necessary for that goal? Being a brain genius.
Like, these, like, weird insults. Don't be a brain
We
genius.
appreciate it very much, Tim.
Why are you being a brain genius? What does that mean? What are you saying?
This diaper baby was able to successfully spear-dick gigantic tax cuts for corporations and the wealthy while systematically dismantling federal institutions from within, all while enforcing white nativist immigration policies to silence the plebs. Trump didn't achieve any of this through wit and rigorous debate, and he certainly didn't do it through compromise.
At least he kind of did some research for this video, even if it's still fucking wrong. It would have been even worse if he just copy and pasted the Twitter thread again like in his camel video. No, somebody actually told me that this whole video comes from another Twitter thread. Somebody told me that. I don't know if anybody has a link to that Twitter thread, you can post it, but I think that's what people said.
He did it because he was able to push well-defined goals and had a party that read the writing on the wall, which was
Oh, people are saying it's actually from the same Twitter guy.
Racism, and immediately gave him the necessary structural support to continue pushing the Republican agenda. So yes, while I love that Pete is very smart, being smart isn't gonna help the Democrats win. And even if it did, would you rather have someone who's smart or someone who will have your best interest?
Oh, I read your email, Hortler. I don't know if I responded or not, but you're saying this in your email. That language was a Chapo meme talking about how much the media was sucking off Buttigieg. Hassan just totally fucked it up. Yeah, I remember reading it, yeah.
At heart. A common theme I've noticed amongst booty heads, Pete's fans, is their inability to identify a single policy position he has. And that's probably because Pete won't talk about them. He's anti-policy, which isn't necessarily
I don't know if not having fleshed out policy positions makes you anti-policy, but okay.
a bad thing, as long as you're addressing what the people need, or at the very least, giving voice to the anxieties that they feel. Pete
Also, apparently his whole website is like full of his policy positions, but whatever.
just kind of brushes past all of that with vague generalizations, aside from the few notable exceptions, and then immediately hits the centrist return to normalcy attitude you see from people like Beto O'Rourke, who think the country is more interested in patching things up with the other side than having a truly representative governing body that brings us health.
Okay, so listen to this. A truly representative body that brings us healthcare and free college.
Healthcare and free college, which Mr. Harvard's Rhodes Scholar has called elitist.
So he just claimed that Pete thinks that free college is elitist, and here's the quote that he shows on screen. Americans who have a college degree earn more than Americans who don't, Pete said. As a progressive, I have a hard time getting my head around the idea of a majority who earned less because they didn't go to college, subsidizing a minority who earned more because they did. So to further illustrate on this, Pete is talking about a pretty common complaint that's levied, that when you try to make college free for everybody, inevitably, some amount of tax, even if it's a small amount, is going to be taken from a poor working person to pay for the education of a wealthy person. Now, some people like Bernie Sanders have posed like a speculation tax on Wall Street so that only the wealthiest people are paying for college to subsidize or whatever. But like, this isn't necessarily a bad point that Pete's bringing up, right? If you're going to do free college for all, you need to have like some way of doing this where like either one, you probably shouldn't be subsidizing like wealthy people's education, or two, like you have to make a tax that literally only impacts the richest people. However, like regardless of that, to say that he thinks that college education is elite when is too elitist, when Pete's on record talking about how college absolutely needs to be affordable and how he wants to expand Pell Grants and state aid, is totally bogus. That's just a bold-faced, pants-on-fire lie. Pete said that in debates as well, that he wants free college for people who aren't super wealthy, but the rich should pay something. Yeah, like this is just a bold-faced lie. It's absolutely not true.
Having a truly representative governing body that brings us healthcare and free college, which Mr. Harvard's Rhodes Scholar has called elitist. Oh, also, in his I Want to Be President book, Pete also called labor activist student groups at Harvard SJWs, which is alarming to say the least. Pete's all.
And this book quote, where he says they called him SJWs, here's the book quote. Striding past the protesters and the politicians addressing them, on my way to a pizza and politics session with a journalist like Matt Bai or a governor like Howard Dean, I did not guess that the students poised to have the greatest near-term impact were not the social justice warriors of the protests, but a few, mostly apolitical geeks who were quietly at work in Kirkland House, like Zuckerberg. I don't even think Hassan would disagree with this assertion, that people like Zuckerberg, people that control these massive user online media platforms, do have a much greater influence on politics than like the social justice warriors that are on campus. I don't even think Pete is using social justice warriors as a pejorative here. He's not saying like SJWs are dumb. He's just saying that these people running these tech companies and shit, like, what? This is just this is like such a disingenuous framing of saying that Pete called labor activist student groups at Harvard's SJWs. Like, he's not using the term negatively at all there. Like, holy fuck. Destiny, that's the only way to use SJW? That's not true. Now, I understand that, like, and I know you're going to hate me for this. I understand that maybe if you spend all of your time online, you view SJW as like a bad thing. But in the real world, there are actually people that use terms like social justice in a positive way, that consider themselves like, yes, like I am a social justice warrior. Like, yes, I believe, like I advocate for these things. It's not seen as a slur in every corner of society. That's mainly like an online phenomenon. Like Destiny, Booker calls himself a social justice warrior. Social justice is a positive phrase? Question mark, question? Yes. Yes. Unironically true, I've had people at my school say that. Yeah, what the fuck?
W's, which is alarming to say the least. Pete's also downplayed U.S. atrocities in Vietnam and Iraq by invoking the age-old "we didn't know any better" defense. I mean, we did know better. We don't care. And I guess neither do you. So yeah, Pete's smart and...
I don't know anything about that. I'm too lazy to look it up, but I don't believe anything being said at this point.
Doesn't really talk about policy, which is probably why a lot of intelligent friends of mine keep saying things like, oh man, he just shred Trump in a debate though. No, he wouldn't. In the midst of a heated debate on climate change, as soon as Butt Judge's beautifully crafted monologue ended, Trump would just call him a nerd, instantly owning him into oblivion in the eyes of the American people. I mean, Hillary Clinton was smart and look what happened to her. By the way, the same could be said about Bernie in regards to being a socialist while also participating in society. But the difference between Bernie and Pete is that Burn Dog is at least speaking for the people, while Pete is often speaking at the people. Now, there's a lot more to say on this, and I'm going to be doing a deeper investigation on my Twitch at twitch.tv/Hasanabi after 5.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Okay.
Is the Hatam food over, goddammit?
I could, yeah, maybe we'll go over Reddit threads tomorrow, but I'm fucking tired as fuck today. I'm too lazy. I gotta go do shit. It's been fun. Became really painfully obvious that Hassan was an ideologue to me and you guys were arguing about rent control. Oh, sure, yeah. Oh, yeah, supposedly when Hassan made that video, Pete didn't have policies listed on his website yet. That's true. Although still, not having policies like spelled out yet, I don't think makes you anti-policy, but okay. Yeah, DT podcast should be tomorrow. But okay, I love you guys. It's been fun. Stay safe out there, all of you brave warriors. Ripperino, cappuccino, pappuccino, hoppuccino, moppuccino, cappuccino, cappuccino, appuccino. Al Pacino, my Deuterinos. Oh shit, we'll host the Bernie Sanders channel. Fuck it. Alright, I love you guys. Rip on, my duders. Have fun, stay safe, be careful. Please be nice in there. If I see you being mean in another chat, I'll fucking ban you. Fucking shitters.
And you've done some of the most disingenuous debate tactics that I'm finally going to start fucking calling out every single time that you do it. It is like talking to Ben.